Good morning, 5 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Our forecast today calling for some clouds this morning. We'll have sunshine for this afternoon. Our high going to around 90 degrees today. A Sumner County teacher has been put on leave, will likely be fired after declaring herself an activist to her students and expressing her views on immigrations and customs enforcement. News 2's Sam Chimenti with more on Stephanie Braswell's dismissal.
This past January, Braswell was put on administrative leave after the district claims she expressed her political views with students, which made them feel uncomfortable. Director of Schools Scott Langford says his suggestion to dismiss Braswell is based on, quote, incompetency and insubordination. There are other issues listed in this memo from Langford, including poor classroom management, that's a big one, and interactions with students, delayed grading practices, video recording of students without consent, and being unprofessional with parents.
Braswell denies all of the charges, tells News 2 she plans to hire an attorney. Well, it's go time. Dr. Anthony Fauci will have to answer questions about his handling of the COVID pandemic and his ego-stroking diary when he visits Capitol Hill today.
6 years after the pandemic gripped the globe, new insight into the U.S. government's response. A Senate committee today is set to question Dr. Anthony Fauci, accusing the former head of the COVID response effort of misleading Americans about the source of the virus and lying to Congress, all which Fauci denies. He and his lawyers say the accusations are part of Republican Senator Rand Paul's personal vendetta against Fauci.
That's ABC's Karen Waugh reporting. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
Stocks rose even as computer chip makers fell, thanks to some stronger than expected profit reports from major corporations. The Dow added 537 points. The S&P rose 16. The Nasdaq lost 55, but recovered sharper losses from earlier in the day when it was hovering in correction territory. Coca-Cola, Sherwin-Williams, and Illinois Toolworks all reported strong earnings for the latest quarter. Those helped to offset losses from Micron Technology, Advanced Micro Devices, and Applied Materials. In the oil market, a barrel of Brent crude fell 4% to close at $81. Visa confirms it's laying off 7% of its workforce, with the product and technology teams bearing the brunt of the losses. The company cited artificial intelligence, its stablecoin platform, and other businesses. A federal judge has temporarily blocked Minnesota's law banning prediction markets, which was set to take effect Saturday. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
And we're looking at stock futures mixed right now. Dow futures down 15, but the Nasdaq futures plus 135. S&P futures are up 25 points. That's the latest news. Traffic is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Major roads okay this morning. Just keep in mind that in Murfreesboro, it's still closed off for road work on Veterans Parkway between New Salem Highway and Old Salem Road. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.506 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on into your Wednesday. It is July 29th. A lot going on today, and at 6:35, Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson is going to be joining us. He's going to chime in. You remember yesterday we talked about how Representative Jason Zachary said that the state legislature was going to look at flock cameras. Well, the Senate Majority Leader, Jack Johnson, is going to tell us exactly what they have in mind, at least thus far. Plus, we'll talk about data centers and AI. Of course, it is Wednesday, so that means we're going to have Wednesdays with Wilson. Brian Wilson will be joining us coming up here at 7:05. Also, Iran tries to sucker punch America. Details straight ahead. Anthony Fauci under oath, and Mamdani publishes a hit list. Lots going on. Also, Joan, so you had this story of this teacher who decided that she was going to give her political views regarding ICE.
Yes.
Do we know what exactly? I can only imagine.
Yeah.
But what is it that she said?
So I tried to look that up because this report that Channel 2 did doesn't mention it. And of course, Channel 4 doesn't even have the story. So it was hard to come to, to figure out what they were trying to say. But they never actually say. If you Google it and use the AI, you can kind of find out what was implied.
Yeah.
But AI says a tenured Spanish teacher at White House High School in Sumner County reportedly discussed ICE-related issues in her classroom and declared herself an activist to her students.
Why would you do that? Who in their right mind thinks that that's a good idea if you're a teacher?
It was at the height of all the ICE stuff, and I think it was in January, so it was probably around the same time that the two people were killed.
Yeah.
Good. What was her first name?
Renee Good and Scott Preddy.
Yes.
Alex Preddy.
It was around that time that the incident happened. It said January 2026. She expressed her political concerns regarding ICE directly to the class.
Do you know what I would do if she wants to declare if I'm the principal of that school and she declares herself an activist to the kids? I'd be like, well, I didn't know that you were looking for another job, but you go ahead and you go off and you become an activist and let them pay you to be an activist. But we're paying you to teach, reading, writing, arithmetic, or the language of Spanish. And so off you go. Bye-bye. Don't let the door hit your arse on the way out. How do you say don't let the door hit your ass on the way out in Spanish?
I don't know.
Okay, well, that's what they needed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know Spanish either, but I know the. Do you know what I know? I know the universal language for get the hell out, and it's the middle finger.
Yeah. So some of the students said that they were made to feel uncomfortable because their political views didn't align with hers, and they knew that if they expressed them, she would, jump all over their case.
Right.
So that's essentially where this came from. Why the administration decided to take action on it. So. Yeah, she's out of a job, but she's hiring a lawyer, so she's going to fight this.
She's going to lawyer up, is she? Of course, that's part of what makes America great, isn't it? Everybody can get a lawyer. But here's the thing, though. So if she was saying, "Well, I am pro-ICE and I am anti-illegal immigration," you know what? I'd probably feel the same way. Where you are there to teach Spanish.
Yes,
you are there to teach the language. Now, if you want to go and you want to become a political science teacher, maybe a sociology teacher, then you can perhaps, or I think civics, or maybe a current events class.
Right.
Then you go right on ahead. That would be your lane. But, can your students count to 100 in Spanish? If not, you need to keep your political
Right.
views to yourself and teach the language. I mean, that's what it seems like to me. So even if she and I were, sort of on the same page, then you're making the anti-ICE students uncomfortable. So just, if you're there to teach the language. And that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what was in her contract. I don't know what the law is, if you will, or the policy is about sharing your political views with your students. I actually don't know what the policy is. Did she break a policy? She must have, because she got fired.
She must have.
So it's tenured teachers in Tennessee can only be dismissed for a specific cause: incompetence, inefficiency, neglect of duty, unprofessional conduct, or insubordination. And Grok has unprofessional conduct highlighted. Her only real argument that she could make legally would be that if she framed the ICE discussion as somehow tied to the Spanish language and cultural curriculum element of things. But coming out and saying you're an activist already doesn't do that.
So there were other things that they listed in the list of things why they fired her. And they included poor classroom management, interactions with students, delayed grading practices, recording students on video without their consent, and being unprofessional with parents.
Well, it sounds like good riddance.
Yeah, I don't think she's,
Do you know what my question would be? So if this was the straw that broke the camel's back, there was a lot of straws before that. Like recording kids without their
permission.
Fighting with parents, which I kind of understand that. But, some of these other things that you were mentioning, poor classroom management, yet this is what it took to get her fired. It sounds like she could have been fired quite some time ago. And, sometimes people, when they're a pain in the butt at work, and I can say this as a manager for like 30 plus years, sometimes you just wait for them to hang themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, it takes a lot to let people go these days. So for the school and probably for the principal and the vice principal, they're like, oh, thank God, we can finally get her on this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and she's not going to be able to get another job. I can't imagine with a resume like that. Hey, why'd you leave your previous job? Well, I declared myself an activist. I argued with the parents. I recorded kids without their knowledge and poor classroom management and the rest of that.
Oh, that'll fly at metro schools.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so she just won't be able to work for Sumner or Wilson or any other reasonable
good school
district.
There you go. All right, very good. Well, we'll see what happens.
What an insane story.
So, Sophie Cunningham seems to be America's darling. Did you hear what happened last night?
It's actually kind of funny.
It is funny. All right, so real quick, because not everybody is up to speed on what happens with Sophie Cunningham. So Sophie Cunningham, WNBA, and she is, and by the way, Sam, I got to tell you, I'm very, very disappointed in you. I'm very disappointed in you.
What did I do?
You didn't tell me that Sophie Cunningham had a Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition a couple of months ago. What the hell is wrong with you?
Hey, so someone else shared her college photo from when she played at Mizzou? Mm-hmm. Talk about a glow up.
Listen, all
Deserving
I'm saying,
of the SI swimsuit.
I count on you to keep me updated on these things. I'm totally kidding, folks. Anyway, so remember, she's sort of being considered or talked about as some sort of a MAGA warrior, or like, as I said the other day, a MAGA Barbie or whatever. But, I mean, she waded into the whole, men playing in women's sports debate. Remember this whole thing? I've got some video. This was the audio and video that I played last week.
I mean, I think I said what I said. I think it's kind of common sense. And I think I'll always believe in that. I think it's really important to protect children. And that's little girls who are also involved in that category. And so I stand on what I said, and I always believe that.
Yeah. Do you see your advocacy on that, like, taking any form going forward?
I don't know. I'm not a very political person, but I do have beliefs. I have morals, and I'll always stand on those and be true to who I am. And I think people are going to take it how they want to take it, but I've never even really said anything about that. And so when it comes just to protecting young girls in sport and women in sport, I feel very strongly about that. I think that's why you have Title IX. That's why you have some of the greats in women's sports. If Title IX and women's sports weren't protected, then you wouldn't hear about any type of women in sport. And so I think in the future, it's just really important to protect.
So, of course, now the lesbians in the NBA have a problem with this, which is so weird. I mean, so if you are in the WNBA and some dude in a dress identifies as a woman and takes your position, well, then what are you going to say? But that's exactly what's going on. The lesbians in the NBA, WNBA, have an issue with her opinion. And I don't really get it. But Sophie Cunningham, they were playing the Fever, Indiana. Is that what they're called? Her team is called the Indiana Fever.
Yep.
And they were playing in Seattle. And so the Seattle Storm, one of their players, Stephanie Dolson, shows up for their game wearing a trans rights or human rights shirt to basically protest Sophie Cunningham from the Daily Mail because they had a pro Sophie Cunningham event outside of the, or rally outside of the arena. So you got a bunch of people up there, basically celebrating free speech and Sophie Cunningham and, trying to keep men out of women's sports and all that kind of stuff. And so then you've got some of these women on the Seattle Storm team wearing these shirts, trans rights or human rights shirts. But what's so crazy, again, not to belabor the point, is that these folks on the left are so illogical. They don't understand how dumb they sound. It's like, okay, Stephanie, who wore the shirt, then let's have some dude in a dress take your position in the WNBA. Or let's have you play against a bunch of dudes in the WNBA and see how you do. They did a movie.
Daily Wire did.
Daily Wire did that movie.
Lady Ballers.
Lady Ballers.
It was hilarious.
Was it funny? I haven't yet. It's on my list of things that I want to see.
Oh, very, very, very well done.
From the Daily Mail regarding last night's game. Anything going on in traffic? Joan, anything going on in traffic?
Nothing.
Right,
well, I mean, there's that closure on Veterans Parkway in Murfreesboro. It's between New Salem Highway and Old Salem Road, but no major accidents, anything like that.
All right, very good. Thank you, Joan. Brian Urlacher praising Sophie Cunningham?
Yeah, Fox is talking about it right now because the mind of Mandis is always a step ahead of the major networks. And
clearly,
Brian Urlacher was...
Joan Jones. I heard that.
I was in agreement.
No. You know what? I've been married twice. I know exactly what that tone was. I'm just kidding, Joan.
Can you who is it that's
Brian Urlacher?
Who's that?
Linebacker legend for the Chicago Bears, Brian Urlacher.
Do you know what
him.
would be great is if I could watch that, but day 212 without a television in the WTN studio.
I don't know. Yours is working well. Mine's working pretty well too, right, Sam?
You were saying, Sam?
Well, Tom Petty put it best, Dan. Waiting is the hardest part. But he's coming out praising her about how she's not going to back down. He believes it's an 80-20 issue. Most of the country believes it's an 80-20 issue.
I believe Tom Petty had a song, I Won't Back Down.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. 2 Tom Petty references in 1 60-second period on Nashville's Morning News.
It's a record.
From the WNBA, from the Daily Mail, before the WNBA game on Tuesday night, last night, anti-trans protesters. Now, I'm going to focus on this. When you say that you are pro-little girl, and I mean, of course, in sports, anti-trans protesters. So you are for girls being able to participate in sports without worrying about some dudes coming in and taking over your sport. They're calling you an anti-trans protester. So right there, you know that the Daily Mail is on the side of the trans people. They say anti-trans protesters also held a rally outside the arena in support of Sophie Cunningham, whose comments are continuing to make headlines around the world. The group held up signs which read, "Thank you, Sophie," and "Protect female sports," chanting in support of Cunningham and her now viral comments, of which I just played for you. Inside the arena, meanwhile, the division continued with pro and anti-Cunningham signs seen on the ESPN broadcast. Can we be honest? When it says they were seen on the ESPN broadcast, how many people actually seen it? Probably none. Well, because let's be honest, this is the most interesting part of the WNBA is the, trans stuff. One fan held up a "No Hate in These United States" rainbow banner. Another fan's sign read, "Thank you, Sophie, for speaking up for girls." Now, one of the things that I saw, and I don't know if this is actually true, but one of the things that I saw on X, so it must be true, is that the girl, the woman who held up the "Thank you, Sophie, for speaking up for girls" sign was forced to take it down. That's what I heard on X. Reports from outside the arena claimed arguments took place between pro and anti-trans protesters, but it is understood there was no physical violence. Now, one journalist apparently only goes by the name Roberta, has a rainbow on the X account, says, quote, "There will be an anti-trans rally in Seattle tomorrow ahead of the Storm game against the Fever in support of Sophie Cunningham's latest transphobic statements. This is what she's inciting." People, I just played the comments. The only people that her comments would incite are the crazed lunatics on the left and the lesbians in the WNBA.
So that did happen. A pro Sophie Cunningham fan was asked to take it down, put it down, but just around the corner, there was a nearby fan with a countersign reading, "No hate in the United States." Security or arena staff intervened on the pro-Cunningham side inside Climate Pledge, while the event drew a pregame rally outside supporting her and related ballot initiatives. But that was reported by News 10 in Seattle.
that is such BS. You see what's going on here? It just the WNBA. Why anyone would support that? If I were an advertiser with the WNBA, I would tell them that they better get their act together.
I have an idea. We could settle this debate. We have like a game show, some kind of sports competition, like American Gladiator style, right? Something to that effect, where it is women and a bunch of dudes dressed up like women, and then we'll see who thinks it's all equal in the end.
Do you know what's so weird though is that, I don't think anybody, and Joan, back me up on this, I could be wrong. Has anybody even talked about, really at this point, the unfairness of the dudes in the dresses playing against or replacing women? I think it's all given. It's all clearly a given that the men in a women's dress or whatever are going to be stronger and more capable than the women themselves.
Yeah.
So, that nobody's even talking about the fairness of it anymore. It's either, if you are pro-woman, if you are pro-girl, then you are anti-trans or transphobic. That's the bottom line. And you are trying to incite violence, which is absolutely ludicrous.
The critics go to, but they stopped getting, they had puberty blockers before they began their puberty. So they don't have testosterone, not like a guy would. Well, it doesn't matter. They're obviously bigger, stronger, built differently,
higher bone density.
Yeah.
And the other thing that they, you can't reason with them on, which to add to that, a higher, stronger heart rate as well that allows you to be more athletic.
Yeah.
They bring it to, well, it's only like 1%. There's only like 1% of athletes that this affects.
It doesn't matter.
I don't care.
It does not matter.
Same with immigration. I don't care if it's 1%. If you're illegal, come back and do it the right way.
By the way, needs a video. By the way, so Joan and Sam, have you heard of the hate-filled anti-trans screaming of the Sophie Cunningham supporters? Have you heard this?
No.
Oh, it is this, my friends, will trigger the lesbians, the godless lesbians in the WNBA.
Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You stood up for us.
This actually kind of made me tear up a little bit.
Yeah.
You didn't have to.
You could have taken the easy way out.
You could have sat back
And enjoyed your fame.
You could have avoided the hate.
Taken the money and quietly closed the door behind you.
leaving girls like us to fight this battle alone.
But you didn't.
You spoke up.
You spoke up.
When it comes just to protecting young girls in sport, I feel very strongly about that.
And said what millions of women were thinking, but were too afraid to say.
And when they tried to make you back down,
You stood even taller.
I said what I said. I think it's kind of common sense.
So thank you. So thank you. Thank you for showing me what strength looks like.
What courage looks like.
What integrity is.
And I think I'll always believe in that.
Thank you for showing us what it means to be a real one.
I mean, I love that. By the way, also,
awesome.
Isn't that awesome?
Yes.
It does. It makes me tear up. So, jersey sales of Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham are through the roof. I saw one headline that shows that they make up 71% of all the jersey sales for the WNBA. Meantime, I don't know if you saw this, but have you seen the moronic transgender TikTok influencers? They've actually been burning her jerseys. So realize.
I love that.
So what they're doing is they're going out, they're buying her jerseys so they can burn them.
Are the clicks worth more than the jersey?
These people have no principles whatsoever. Anyway, it is 5:26. Joan's got the news at 5:30. Joan.
Yeah, coming up here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So a former bus driver who was convicted of a serious crash in Chattanooga that lives in a lot of people's memories. That bus driver is back in jail this morning. We'll explain why coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis from Super Talk 99.7 WTN and Nashville's Morning News. I'm here with Chris from USS, United Structural Systems. He's checking out my basement, my foundation, my crawl space to see if there's anything wrong. Fingers crossed. All right, so there's good news and there's bad news. The bad news is we found some cracks in my basement wall. The good news, I've got Chris here who's going to walk me through the next steps.
Yes, so unfortunately, your house has been subject to the pressure of the dirt. The hydrostatic pressure, heavy dirt pushes on foundation walls, and you've got a little bit of what we call bowing. So that wall is pushed in a little bit. We have a lifetime warranty solution for that. So we install, usually in a day or two, this can be done in most situations. We install carbon fiber straps, which keep the wall from moving inward at any point in the future. It's a lifetime warranty for anybody that ever owns this house. So it's a quick and routine thing that we do, but it yields some long-lasting benefits.
It's a great selling point if you want to sell your house.
Absolutely. Good thing about our warranties is they're not only transferable, like the contract says, they're automatically transferred when you sell your house. So you don't have to sign any paperwork or even send us an email saying that you sold your house. Warranty would transfer to the next owner.
Good morning, 5:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Some clouds this morning, but it'll be sunny for this afternoon. Our high will be around 90 degrees. A much more comfortable day today. President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu meeting in the Oval Office yesterday for what the White House calls a productive meeting on the Iran war. Afterward, Netanyahu sat down with Sean Hannity, who asked how that meeting went.
Great. It was one of the best meetings that we've had. And I always hate to disappoint our would-be critics who are trying to find, cracks in our alliance. And what they find, like today, is a wall of granite, because the president is so clear.
Now, this was a private meeting, no reporters allowed. President Trump was also meeting yesterday with Ukraine's president, Volodymyr Zelensky. Locally, a former bus driver convicted in a 2016 crash that killed 6 children in Chattanooga has been arrested again. Jonathan Walker has been accused of breaking into an apartment belonging to a young woman he was convicted of raping years ago. He strangled her.
Police records show the victim was sexually abused by Walker years ago and was convicted of raping her when she was 14. Walker is also accused of tripping the victim's daughter. He's also a sex offender, so he faces charges for violating the sex offender registry.
It's Channel 4's Danielle Ledbetter. Walker's now 33 years old. He is facing 7 new charges. eBay has agreed to pay nearly $56 million to a couple in Massachusetts after several former eBay employees targeted and harassed them with bizarre and gruesome deliveries, including a bloody pig Halloween mask and live cockroaches. ABC's Hannah Battah reports.
The Steiners run an online newsletter that was often critical of eBay. Back in 2020, 7 eBay employees were charged with harassment, including an alleged plan to hide a GPS tracker on the Steiners' car. Most of the defendants pleaded guilty. Some were sentenced to prison. eBay condemned the harassment and apologized, saying it was wrong, reprehensible, and should never have happened.
That is the latest news. Traffic is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Times are tough. Absolutely, I agree. Now, if you need a new truck or a minivan, maybe an SUV, Mid-10 Ford, they can help you out with great selection, terrific pricing as well. Mid-10 Ford, they've been around for 56 years, since 1969, helping people get the vehicle that is right for them. They can help you save $1,000 or more on select Ford trucks. They also offer special financing as well if you need it. Now, Mid-10 Ford, I like to say that they're a one-stop shop. You can buy your vehicle there at Mid-10 Ford. You can get it serviced. They have a body shop as well. So you want a brand new or a pre-owned vehicle, you can check out all of the great deals at their website, mid10fordtrucks.com. That's mid10fordtrucks.com. They offer low-pressure sales, maximum customer service if you show up at their business, 1319 Foster Avenue. This is a family-owned business going back 4 generations. So, yeah, they do know how to treat customers. So let them help you get into your next vehicle. Again, low-pressure sales, maximum customer service. Find them online, mid10fordtrucks.com. That's mid10fordtrucks.com. Let their family take care of your family.
Walking. Major roads looking okay so far this morning. Heading into Nashville, traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.537 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on into your Wednesday. It is the 29th of July. Summer's almost over, Joan.
Yeah, I know. Do you know I was in a store the other day? I think it was like a Dollar General or something.
Mm-hmm.
They have Halloween stuff.
Oh my goodness gracious. We were in the home store and Halloween is everywhere. I thought I was losing my mind. It's like, Am
it's July, people. Let us enjoy it.
I started counting on my fingers the number of months till Halloween.
Yeah.
And it's like July, June, July, August, September, October. Like 3 months.
Yes. Yes.
Come on, people.
Just
You're
knock
right.
it off. Let us enjoy the moment.
By the way, I was kidding, actually. Summer's not really almost over. We got August.
We do.
Some of September.
Well, probably most of the month of September, given how the weather's been.
You know what? I count summer as when I can go into my swimming pool in the backyard.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Yeah. So in other words, summer is over when I can no longer go in the pool.
Okay.
That's kind of how I feel. Anyway,
when do you usually close it up?
It depends on the year.
Or do you even?
No, we do. We actually close it up. We empty it out about halfway, put some chemicals in, and put the blue tarp on it.
Okay.
Yep. And it is a pain in the butt.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Amy and I argue every year. It's like, people down the road on our street, they don't close it out. They just keep it, sort of chemicaled all year round, but they don't actually, close it up or cover it up and all that. But she wants to close it up, and you know what? She's the boss. So it's all fine, well, and good.
Wow. Okay.
Anyway, speaking of who's the boss, it's time for Joan's World. All right. So Joan, what do you got?
So I thought that we'd today have a little bit of a party for Anthony Fauci, since he's going to be on on Congressional Hill, on Capitol Hill today, testifying. So I think that it's appropriate that we remember the best of Fauci, like this very first one here. And the insanity of it wasn't just Fauci, but it was those who were so infatuated with him that sent him over the edge.
Oh, clearly, because if you read his diaries, he was over the moon at how much attention he was getting.
Yeah, even the little people.
This guy's in a mask, holding a sign that says Dr. Fauci.
Dr. Fauci. Give us vaccines.
Oh, my goodness.
Help all the people who have been quarantined. We'll wear our masks and we'll have to stay distant.
By the way, there is, I don't know if you saw this, Joan, speaking of masks.
Yeah.
It turns out within all of these emails and files and everything that they have uncovered, they found an email to Dr. Fauci, and he was participating in this email thread where early on, they said, mask wearing, not really helpful.
We'll wash our hands and we'll be more resistant. Fauci, yes? Promise us, please.
This is just bizarre.
It's so
We'll
weird.
have a cure that can fight off this disease.
And nobody thought this was cringe. Like, I don't remember.
No, we definitely thought it was
I don't
cringe.
remember this at the time.
Restrictions will lift with some ease. Dr. Fauci, don't forget me.
Well, this is, he must, I think he's, that kid may have been special.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think he was special?
No, I think he wanted to get out of quarantine so he could go snuggle his boyfriend.
Okay, moving right along.
We're getting to his furry costume.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, no, hold on. I talked over that. What was your joke, Joan?
Or he wanted to get into his furry costume.
Thank you. Very
Yes.
good.
Okay.
With his boyfriend.
Yes. Okay. So go to the last one in that section. President Trump managed to post something about Anthony Fauci.
Oh,
this was
is
like
so
my favorite
awesome.
Fauci moment. He decided he was fit to throw out the first pitch at the Washington Nationals. Watch this.
Yeah. So he throws the ball. So for people listening on the radio, you've seen the you've seen the people throwing out the first pitch. So he's on the pitcher's mound. He throws the ball so far to the right of the catcher that he almost hits the camera people about 10 feet to the catcher's right. And Donald Trump posting this on the socials. Fauci told everyone he was a great basketball player, so I assumed that he would be easily able to throw a ball to home plate. It turned out he was a phony on that, just like he was on everything else. See below. He says he was a terrible athlete, and this is by far the worst throw I have ever seen in years of watching first pitches. President Donald J. Trump. And yeah, for people who may have missed it, I'm going to rewind this a little bit. And
when you're ready, it's your pitch.
Yeah, he goes out to the mound. He's looking like he's going to be a bad A. I don't know. You know what's so funny about that pitch, too? Oh, my goodness. He's wearing a mask in the middle of an empty baseball field.
He's nowhere near a single soul.
So not only did he throw it 10, 15 feet to the right of the catcher, but he didn't even make it to the baseline chalk. If you notice that, it's just a terrible throw.
Bad. It was so bad.
I mean, listen, we talked yesterday. He was probably a nerd in school, right? He was probably part of it. Not that there's anything wrong with being on the science club. We're actively trying to get Riker on the science club, get him to go into the science club as he goes into 7th grade. There's nothing wrong with that, but I didn't know that Fauci was, saying that he was a great athlete and talking about how great of a basketball player he was. I didn't know that.
I think he had mentioned it, in interviews. So then finally, you have seen the Fauci diaries being talked about, here, maybe on Fox News, maybe one or two other outlets, but the mainstream media is doing their best to keep it under wraps. Now, this is from CNN. It's Lydia Moynihan trying to talk about the Fauci diaries. Listen to how it goes when she tries to bring it up.
Here we go.
I think we need to have transparency around what's going on. I think one situation that, frankly, where we saw the government was certainly obfuscating, didn't have any transparency, was Anthony Fauci, who we're getting his diaries today, where he was.
Oh my goodness gracious!
It goes on
the second she went to Anthony Fauci, all the hens started squawking.
You're purposely obfuscating about
Anthony
Fauci. That's actually something where we know he was purposely obfuscating.
We're sitting here talking about Americans who were killed in theater, okay, as a result of a war. We are not going to pivot to Anthony Fauci's diaries. That's a different conversation.
You're saying that this is a purposeful obfuscation. We don't know that it was a purposeful obfuscation.
That we learned this weekend,
it was.
Isaiah. The other thing we learned this weekend is that the president has been warned.
All right, so again,
isn't that crazy? Like they made it so that she couldn't be heard.
So, and that's part of what they do. On that's not The View, that's Abby Phillips' show. Is that everybody just starts screaming over her so that nobody can talk about the beloved Dr. Anthony Fauci, who his pants have most certainly been pulled down, and it's not impressive. So Sam, I guess, he's telling me in my ear, you've got to play this. I found a great Fauci song. So
a few years back, this gentleman, he goes by the artist name The Real Samson, and he kind of come out as a somewhat political rapper. He's not really conservative or Republican. He's kind of more libertarian. But when things were shut down and Fauci was getting caught in his own kind of obfuscations with the media, this is what he came out with.
I speak to the man that rules above. He helps get me through these trying times. He guides my way and gets me through the mud. As a mortal man, I put my life in your hands, cause I know you'll do everything to steer me straight. And because of that, a lot of people tell me that I'm wrong and they act like they're right, but it's clear they ain't. They smear your name, but I fear your reign. Some folks don't know how much you sacrificed, and when judgment day comes, they're gonna be sorry, cause they're all gonna have to pay a massive price. But I won't, cause I live for you. No matter how many of my peers doubt me, every breath I take and every step I make is in your name. That'll never change. Dear Fauci,
oh my
Easter's
gosh.
coming up. Do you think that I could spend it with my loved ones? Maybe open up the window, let the wind blow. Maybe circulate the air, mix it up some. No, I was kidding too. It's just a little joke, I would never disapprove. I already put the chair 6 feet apart and cut a little hole in my mask big enough to get my spoon through. Yup, yes my lord. Vaccine cards are gonna get checked at the door. I don't care if my brother, my father, my mother doesn't have.
When I watch the videos of like elderly people who are in the nursing home and they have to go up to a glass and put their hand on the glass and their loved one puts their...
Absolutely heartbreaking.
They died. They died not knowing, not having that last hug from their loved ones.
Last touch. No, nobody. I don't know about you, Joan, but you know, when I die, I have this sort of hope that when my time comes, I'm surrounded by my family, holding my hand, all that stuff. And I think that everybody wants to die surrounded by their loved ones. And it is incredibly sad that people were quarantined, people were not allowed the dignity of dying with their loved ones. It's just horrifying.
There was one that absolutely, I think I spent, and not to sound like a emotional pile about it, but I think I spent about a half a day crying over a case out of New York. Amber Isaac, she was 26 years old, died during an emergency C-section at Montefiore Medical Center in the Bronx, while the strict pandemic visitor policies prevented her partner from being in the room. And then there were, and that's just a drop in the bucket compared to the probably hundreds, maybe even thousands of babies that were born throughout that time where the father was not allowed, sometimes not in the room, sometimes not in the hospital.
Yes.
Well, and let's not forget, yes, the deaths are clearly the most important thing to discuss. But we could also talk about one of the things that Fauci said in his diaries is that he was so proud that he convinced Gavin Newsom in California and de Blasio, mayor of New York at the time, to close the schools.
Yeah.
And I think there's still kids that are still recovering from those school closures.
Well, definitely academically and psychologically, that it stunted a whole generation. But I believe, Joan, you correct me if I'm wrong, he told Stephen Miller to quarantine for 2 weeks while his wife was pregnant or something to that effect. Yeah. But he was going to the White House every day like it was no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the double standard was ridiculous.
That, children look at your mouth, they look at your facial expressions. That's how they learn how to respond to people.
We talked about all this.
Yeah.
You're right, Joan.
All those children, we haven't seen the effect of what they went through. We haven't seen the results of that yet. It's to come still.
Oh, yeah.
What are they, 6 now? What about when they're teenagers and they're still not getting it?
I think, let's see here, I'd have to think back, but some of those kids have now turned 18. I think if they were 12, 13 at the time of the lockdowns, then they're turning 18, 19 years old now. So anyway, unfortunately, we'll be seeing the ramifications of Fauci's lockdowns for years and years to come. Next.
All right, so let's have a laugh, shall we? Nick Shirley is out with a new video. He decided he was going to go and gift some things to Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Watch this. Watch this.
All right, here we go. This is Nick Shirley and Ilhan Omar.
Today we are here in Washington, D.C. Ilhan Omar's net worth went from a miraculous $6 to $30 million to just now $95,000. So today we're bringing her a gift. We have the Accounting for Dummies book right here.
It's an Accounting for Dummies book.
And also, it's summertime. It's getting hot outside. We're bringing her a Leering Center T-shirt.
Quality Leering Center, by the way.
T-shirt. Now, it's not a hoodie.
Yeah, it's a Quality Leering Center. It's a T-shirt. 1-800-FRAUD is the phone number on the shirt.
Here we go. We've made it to Ilhan Omar's office. Let's see if she answers. Hello, is Ilhan here?
The Congresswoman's not here.
She's not here? She's never here. Well, it's summertime.
Well, she's at the winery, Joan.
I know.
Is where she is.
I got her a new Leering Center hoodie, or T-shirt, because it's hot outside. And then I also brought her an accounting book, because her net worth has had some weird fluctuations from $30 million to now just $95,000. So,
you know what the funny thing is about this? Is that the woman that works in her office is just sort of standing there smirking like, can we just go ahead and get this over with? We know what you're doing. And she's just like, all right.
Yeah.
If you could give these to her, I'd be greatly appreciative of that. And it is summertime, so she should be able to wear the new t-shirt. Thank you so much.
Watch, she kicks it with
Gail
her foot.
Hunnelmore officially has a quality layering t-shirt, and she has an accounting book that she can then give to her accountant because certified Lear. Those math numbers just don't make any sense. And if you want to get yourself a Quality Learning Center hoodie and support the work I'm doing, go to antifraudclub.com.
Anti-fraud club. I want to get me a lyric.
I think we all need them. Like,
we
shouldn't
do.
we have a Leering Center day?
He said that, by the way, in testimony the other day when he was leaving a committee hearing. He did not say Learning Center. He said Leering Center every single time he was asked about it, and I love it.
I want to know, for people listening on the radio, there are, it looks like hundreds of little Post-it notes outside of Ilhan Omar's office.
Yes.
What is that?
I don't know.
I wonder if that's representative of here's what it is, Joan. So her wealth apparently went from $6 million to $30 million and now down to $95,000.
Right.
Or whatever. So I wonder if like each Post-it note is representative of like $10,000 magically lost.
No. No, it's a public display of encouragement and solidarity.
Is that what that is?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's the Anti-Fraud Club. That's where you can get the... Oh, you know what? So he talked about this. A lot of people open their own shops, and they're doing their own Quality Leering Center.
Yeah, that's what they do. Is
stuff,
they start making them.
You don't want to
very
get
quickly.
one of those. Support Nick Shirley.
Antifraudclub.com. Antifraudclub.com.
There you go.
If I get one for me and if I buy one for you and Sam, would you two wear them, Joan and Sam?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, we'll talk about sizes here in a little bit. It is 5:53. Joan, do we have time for one more?
We did. Can we just show the one? Now again, you can't. Yeah, you can't use the audio on this one because it's pretty bad. But there's a man in Florida who also
Florida man
who is also sick of the flock cameras. He's a 77-year-old man who's sick of the flock cameras, and so he decided to do his own protest. So here he is. He is sitting on the side of the road. What's he in, like a lawn chair?
Yeah, he's in a lawn chair for people listening. He's in a lawn chair. He's got a big pool net,
It's a skimmer. It's a pool skimmer,
pool skimmer to get leaves out of the pool. And he's holding it up over the flock cameras so they're unable to photograph or document who is driving by.
And he just sat there for the afternoon doing that, just blocking the flock camera. Well, don't you know the police came by and they were interrogating him. So people were stopping and saying to the guy, "Hey, what's your name? If you end up in jail, I want to be able to bail you out."
Right, and they arrested him apparently. And do we know what the charges were? Like, what do you? I mean, I understand
he was not arrested.
He was not
arrested.
Spectrum Bay News has it. Carl Gunn is staging a peaceful weekly protest in St. Petersburg, Florida, sitting in a folding chair with a homemade sign on a long pole to block the automated license plate reader. He's not damaging property or breaking any laws.
By the way, we're talking about how Fauci, apparently, I guess, I didn't hear him say that he was great at basketball, but Nolene points out that Anthony Fauci is 5'7".
Yes, I know he's a small man.
So
yes.
How are you so good at basketball if you're 5'7"? Says the guy that's like 5'5" and half.
I was 5'5" in 5'7" in ninth grade, and I would have absolutely mopped the floor with him.
In basketball?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no,
that was my main sport.
But if you're going to be great at basketball, you got to be taller, right?
That's what I was told. I wanted to go to college, and they're like, "How tall are you?" And I'm like, "I'm almost 6'1". They're like,
"Almost 6". Well, yeah. All right. Is that short for basketball?
Yeah.
How tall was Spud Webb? Spud Webb was like 5'6".
That's different. He could jump out the gym. He was.
I know. Spud Webb. Spud Webb. He was the smallest. Atlanta Hawks.
Played with Dominique Wilkins.
Smallest basketball player ever.
Won a dunk contest in the 80s.
He did.
How about Allen Iverson? He wasn't very
6'1".
tall. Okay.
Or no, he's 6'3". He's tall.
Nope. Allen Iverson's 6 foot.
Okay.
165 pounds.
But he had the handles.
Look at Joan owning Sam on sports knowledge.
Well, I was a Philly girl, and I was there during the Allen Iverson days.
And then you had Nate Robinson, who played for the Knicks, and he was only 5'9". He had 2 dunk titles to his name. There's a running theme there.
What is it?
They jump higher than me.
I've become very bored with this conversation. Joan's got the news at 6. Joan.
Yeah, coming up, a national blood crisis. And you're being asked to roll up your sleeves. Coming up at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Oh.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The U.S. and Saudi Arabia carrying out precision strikes inside Iraq, targeting Iran-backed proxy groups, according to CENTCOM. It's a move that comes in response to the attacks on Saudi energy sites from inside Iraq over the last 3 days. CENTCOM says aircraft struck multiple terrorist logistics and weapons sites across eastern Iraq in a strong response to over 30 IRGC-directed aerial drone attacks in the last 72 hours. Closer to home, a wrong-way driver facing DUI and other charges for a crash on I-40 Saturday night. That person's being held on an immigration and customs enforcement detainer.
News Channel 5 says investigators say 38-year-old Timoteo Trujillo Diaz was driving the wrong direction near Stewart's Ferry Pike when his Honda CR-V hit a Buick head-on. 7 people were hurt, including a state trooper and 2 children ages 2 and 7. Trujillo Diaz is charged with DUI, vehicular assault, and reckless endangerment as the investigation continues. Part of that interstate had to be closed for 6 hours for the investigation. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
For only the second time ever, the American Red Cross is declaring a national blood crisis.
The situation has become acute. Blood donations have now fallen to a 4-year summer low, while hospital demand has increased. On Tuesday, the Red Cross reported less than 1 day of supply left for type O blood. The organization cited many factors for low donations, including illness and air quality. Only 3% of people in the U.S. donate blood for the rest of the country, so a few more people rolling up their sleeves could make a big difference. The Red Cross is urging all who are eligible in every blood type to make a donation. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Market Numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
Falling tech shares continued to weigh on the NASDAQ Tuesday. The composite slipped another 0.2%, while the Standard & Poor's rose 0.2. The Dow Jones gained 537 points to close at 52,747. Designing and building the next generation Air Force One has taken a $280 million chunk out of Boeing's second quarter earnings. The modified 747 gifted to the Trump administration by Qatar is a temporary replacement until the two new ones are ready. If you can't afford to buy an iPad, Apple Watch, or Mac, why not lease one? Apple is offering monthly leases on iPhones starting at $18. Apple Watches and iPads will lease for as little as $12 a month. Whether you've heard of it or not, this is National Lipstick Day. Major beauty retailers are celebrating. Sephora, Ulta, and Macy's are all offering discounts of up to 40% on lipsticks, lip liners, and lip gloss. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Stock futures mixed. The Dow futures are down 143, but NASDAQ futures up 14. S&P futures gaining 12. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. Dan Mandis here, Window Nation 604 on Nashville's Morning News. If you're thinking about replacing your air conditioner, you need to check out your windows first. Drafty windows, they do force your AC to work overtime. New windows from Window Nation help keep your home comfortable and reduces the strain on your HVAC. Now, the pros at Window Nation, they can help you get new energy-efficient windows at a great price. You could get 50% off all window styles, courtesy of Window Nation, and they're also offering 0 down payment and no payments or interest for 2 years. It's no wonder they've got an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and a 96% customer satisfaction rating and over 45,000 5-star reviews. One of those is from me. I've got 4 Window Nation windows in my home. I'm a very satisfied customer. I hear from a lot of WTN listeners who tell me the same thing. Now, don't forget that great deal going on right now. Energy-efficient windows at a great price, 50% off all window styles. Plus, you could get 0 down payment and no payments or interest for 2 years. Window Nation is a proud partner of the Wounded Warrior Project. Find them online, windownation.com. That's windownation.com.
Got a problem in Brentwood this morning on 65 North, just past Old Hickory Boulevard South. You've got a stalled out vehicle in the left lane. We're being told by the traffic center that it's up against the wall in the left lane in the curve. Careful there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
6:07, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It looks like we...
Is there something stuck in there?
No, you know what? I'm having a hard... Joan, I don't know if you've noticed, but, the mind is the first to go, apparently, after the hair for me.
Right.
I'm having trouble with the on-off button here in the studio. So I don't know if it's a technical malfunction on the console in here.
Or if it's not an operator error.
Or if it's a technical malfunction in my brain. But one way or the other, we're going to get this right today. Thank you for joining us. It is July 29th. It is Wednesday. Coming up. Was that what I did? All right, hold on. Hey, Joan, listen to this. So
during Jack Johnson's ad after the break.
So what happens is I forgot to apparently turn my microphone off or something. This is what the listening audience heard as I wrapped up the last segment. Oh. Is that what I did?
So not only is the mind the first thing that goes after the hair, but you have to sound like an old man sitting down in your seat.
No. I was actually getting up.
Oh, you were getting up. Okay. Either way.
So I'm making
those knees hurt.
Is that what I sound like when I get up? Oh. Okay, we got to go. This is where we're supposed to be serious. And I'm doing serious content right now.
Every time I see you vacate a piece of furniture, I'm going to hear...
Oh, okay. Moving right along. Iran has... Oh, by the way, just real quick, people wanted to know if Mark Pody... Just very quickly, then I'm going to get to Iran. People wanted to know if Mark Pody was mad at me. Because remember yesterday we did the... Can we do a rock and roll version, a heavy metal version of Mark Pody's jingle? Remember that, Joan?
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday? No, he thought it was great. This is what I love about Mark Pody. He thought it was great. He thought it was very funny. By the way, Sam, just so you know, Mark Pody liked the... heavy metal version of his jingle far, far, far more than the hip-hop yo-yo version.
I'm sure he's thrilled that we're talking about him regardless.
There you go. That's exactly right. So Iran has fired missiles at one of our bases. Now, shocking, said no one, that they have now tried to basically sucker punch us because, as you know, we were in the middle of... It wasn't a ceasefire that we were involved in. Basically, both sides were in our respective corners to allow negotiations to either continue or begin again. Here's the morning headline. Iran launched multiple ballistic missiles towards a U.S. military base in Jordan on Tuesday in what U.S. Central Command described as an attempted surprise attack. Now, the good news is that we shot down every single one of them. Iran, though... they're not going to be so lucky because Donald Trump clearly is going to answer this. The president was on Fox and Friends yesterday. By the way, we have now retaliated against them. Joan was reporting this in the news, that we have retaliated by striking an area in eastern Iraq where the drones and the missiles came from. This is Donald Trump on Fox and Friends talking about what is next if negotiations fail. I've got video.
Paving new access roads. Satellite imagery and intel indicates that Iran is actively constructing and fortifying Pickaxe Mountain. How will we respond?
Well, I don't need Bibi to tell me that. Bibi's telling me that because he wants me to stay involved. I mean, I don't necessarily. We have the finest, because of Space Force, we have the greatest cameras in the world focused on. We know exactly what's going on. But no, I heard Bibi announce that. I said, why don't you just tell it to me? Why do you have to announce it to the world? I know exactly what's going on at Pickaxe. It's not a big problem. We took out their nuclear sites, and we'll have to take out Pickaxe if we don't make a deal. If we don't make a deal, we'll take it out very easily.
So that is the president. Fox News yesterday, President Trump said a lot of things. Again, they spoke about Pickaxe Mountain, how Iran was getting it ready for more manufacturing of nuclear weapons. So one of the things, and I like that the president called out Benjamin Netanyahu, who is starting to annoy the living crap out of a lot of people. But if you don't know what Pickaxe Mountain is, I've been talking about it. It's one of Iran's major nuclear manufacturing complexes. It's in this mountain, and this mountain is like hard granite. And it's where they produce and assemble centrifuges, and they enrich uranium there as well. And so what we're seeing is just a whole bunch of activity there at Pickaxe Mountain. That obviously means that they are ramping up their nuclear ambitions yet again. The president was just hours away at this point from meeting Benjamin Netanyahu. And of course, Netanyahu goes public with this information pretty much. And I think what it does is he is trying to force or shame President Trump into action. Now, what I don't understand is why we have let it go this long, Pickaxe Mountain. If we know that there is action there, just blow it up. I mean, we spent all this time blowing up all of these different things. Why is Pickaxe Mountain, if we know that this is what they're doing, where they're starting to pave the roads again and they're starting to, just have this flurry of activity there, then obviously we know what they're doing. Let's take care of business. The problem is we apparently don't necessarily know if our bunker busters can reach all the way down into the mountain to get to the actual areas where they're enriching the uranium or making the centrifuges. We don't know if we can get down that far. We do have these bunker busters, as everybody knows, which some say could reach the facilities deep below the surface under that granite. But you also need to destroy the power supply, the roads leading into the site, anything you could do to stop them from doing what they are clearly doing. The question is, will our bunker busters reach down through that granite? Again, some people say it absolutely can. Other people say maybe. So right now what the president is trying to do is he's trying to decide on the next targets.
And then there's always the desalinization plants. And who am I hurting there? I'm hurting the people. So I'm not looking to do that. I just want, very simply, they cannot have a nuclear weapon. Very simple. And they've agreed to that, essentially. We have to get them to, make it formal. But they've agreed to it.
So there's the president saying once again that the Iranians have agreed to go non-nuclear. I just don't believe it. I'm not saying anything other than I'm not calling the president a liar. Maybe there's, some propaganda going on, but I don't believe that the Iranians have said that they will not go nuclear. I don't believe that that they need to formalize it. They have not said any such thing. I'm just telling you because I know the Iranians. We've all been talking about and studying the Iranians for years. And if the Iranians, and here's what I would say, Joan, and I don't mean to, diss on the president on this, but here's the thing. If they had agreed to go non-nuclear, number one, why are we, as the president acknowledges, why are we seeing all of this activity around Pickaxe Mountain? That's number one. But number two, okay, then if they have agreed to go without nukes and if they have agreed to not try to pursue nuclear weapons, then why are they trying to bomb our military bases? Why are they not coming back to the table then, coming to a negotiated agreement so that they can start selling oil again? It is so infuriating. Because we went through 4 years of gaslighting from Joe Biden. So I get frustrated when the president goes on these, discussions where he says the Iranians have agreed to this or we've done that and we've done this. And it's not true. Anyway, got a lot more, 6:15 and time to check the roads on WTN. Sunny skies this afternoon, a high of 90, and it's going to feel like 94. And here's the other thing I would say is that, you know what, maybe Iran has agreed to go non-nuclear, to no longer pursue nuclear weapons, but they're lying, right? I mean, that they're lying. So all of that to say that I think we need to bomb the hell out of them and bomb them into submission. That's what I think. By the way, Sam looked it up. Some defense experts are saying that small tactical nukes, I would say precise nukes, could perhaps penetrate that granite and get into Pickaxe Mountain to try to destroy it.
So the way they kind of work is they go about 20 to 50 feet into the ground, and then the nuclear device inside detonates. And obviously, it's still going to throw radioactive material hundreds of feet up into the air and catch into the wind. It'll be thrown for miles. Obviously, not in the same amount as something like a big boy.
Right. Moab.
Yeah. But they've been around since the 90s. And so as far as the AI, composition of kind of what people are saying, this could get the job done, but then there is the literal issue of the fallout that happens after that and the whole world going, oh my gosh, they used the nuke.
And that's the thing is that, okay, so the world will start freaking out because we actually used a nuke, forgetting about the fact that if you put it in its proper context, it is a tactical nuke to get through the granite. Yep. That's what we're doing. People, of course, will start picturing, Hiroshima and Nagasaki and all that, and they'll say, well, now Vladimir Putin or China, whoever has a nuclear weapon, now has permission to use a nuke because we used a nuke. Obviously, the difference is that the one that we would use is a tactical nuke to get through that granite to destroy Iran's ability to have a nuclear weapon.
Yeah, the bunker busters are going to hit 200 feet, and that's going to be their best way to cut down, and pickaxe is like 350 to 400 before you hit anything.
A couple of other things that the president says, he's trying to decide on the next targets. Remember that his own military leaders have said that we need to stop bombing because we've basically reached the maximum point of effectiveness. Supposedly, we're running out of bombs. I don't know if that's true or not. We are, though, apparently running out of targets, except for Pickaxe Mountain, it seems to me. President says, no, we do have some targets left. He has reservations, though, because clearly he does not want to, and he's been very consistent about this, President Trump does not want to impact the population of Iran.
So I think we have a very strong position right now. They know I'm going to do that if they don't make a deal. The bridges are going to be gone. Literally in less than, I would say in 2 hours, most of the bridges, the major bridges will all be gone. And the power plants in 1 day. And, if I can avoid doing that, I'd like to do that. The hardest thing to build is a power plant. The longest thing to build is a bridge. Takes a long time to rebuild and build bridges. And that's what I used to do for a living, construction. It takes years to build these things. And, they knock them out in 1 hour, and it takes many years. It really decimates a country.
True. You know what also decimates a country is sanctions. Axios has been reporting that Iran is suffering big time financially. That's part of the news cycle this morning. The Iranians, they've got inflation over 300%. They can't pay their fighters. Their economy is in tatters. They cannot sell their oil. So yes, Iran is suffering financially, and they're having a hard time recovering. So to me, we bomb them. We do what we can to destroy their ability to sell oil. We do whatever we can to destroy their country economically. You've just got to keep up the pressure. President Trump, by the way, yesterday also had a meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. We all know that, again, they have not necessarily been seeing eye to eye, but the topic of Iran was at the center of discussions.
How'd that meeting go?
It was great. It was one of the best meetings that we've had. And I always hate to disappoint our would-be critics who are trying to find, cracks in our alliance. And what they find, like today, is a wall of granite, because the president is so clear. I mean, we have a common commitment. We don't want to see this fanatic regime in Tehran have nuclear weapons to threaten every American and to threaten the peace of the world and to threaten the existence of Israel. So we have a common goal, and it's going to be achieved either through diplomatic means or other means, but we're both committed to that.
So there you go. We'll see what happens today. But President Trump doing what he needs to do to try to get this thing done. I am with Bibi Netanyahu on this. We do need to be as aggressive as we need to be. Bombs and sanction our way to peace. Because sadly, there really is no other way. And so it's kind of like, if we need to find peace with force, then that's what we're going to need to do. So we need to bomb Pickaxe Mountain. We need to continue the sanctions. We need to continue to stop them from selling oil in the Strait of Hormuz. We need to attack their economy. We need to be relentless. We simply cannot trust them, so we need to destroy them. And as Donald Trump said before, bearing in mind the impact on the 93 million people that live in Iran. So that is your Iran update for your Wednesday, July 29th. Coming up at 6:35, we've got Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson from here in the state of Tennessee. The future of flock cameras related to the Tennessee state legislature, because you'll remember Jason Zachary came out. I think we had the story yesterday where he came out and he said, he's a lawmaker here in the state of Tennessee, and he said, yep, the state legislature will cover this in the upcoming legislative session. And I guess the majority leader is in Chicago, and he's at some sort of a legislative conference where what they do is you got a bunch of lawmakers, I guess, from around the country, and they're talking about, some of the things that we all have in common, city to city, all of the challenges and some of the opportunities as well. And everybody just kind of compares notes. I'm actually really interested in that part of the discussion as well. So we're also going to talk about AI for the state of Tennessee and also data centers. So a lot to talk about with the Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson. That is coming up at 6:35 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan has the news coming up at 6:30. Joan.
Yeah, we'll tell you why it is a special Wednesday for football fans around here. Coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.624 Super Talk 99.7. Dan Mandis here. So many people, even you, are living with cataracts. Maybe you don't even realize how much it is impacting your everyday life. I waited for years to get my eyes fixed. When I finally did, I went through Dr. Horn and the Vision Pros at Vision for Life. Now, as far as cataracts go, the good news is the fix is quick. It all does begin with a personalized consultation with Dr. Horn. So if you've been dealing with blurry or cloudy vision, glare or halos around lights, colors that maybe they just don't seem as bright as they used to, those are all signs of cataracts. And for a lot of people, driving becomes difficult as well, even dangerous, especially at night. Some people even experience double vision in one eye. Now, that is not something that you have to live with. Call my buddy Dr. Horn and the Vision Pros at Vision for Life at 615-436-2020, 615-436-2020. Cataract surgery these days, it is fast, painless. The results can be truly life-changing, so don't wait. Call Dr. Horn today. Tell him Dan Mandis told you to reach out. Schedule your cataract evaluation with Dr. Horn, 615-436-2020. Visionforlife.com is the website, visionforlife.com, and start seeing clearly again. Not true. Anyway.
Good morning, 6:30 now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Stick around. We've got the forecast and traffic coming up in 5. This is the day that Dr. Anthony Fauci will answer questions from sitting congressmen on the House Oversight Committee. There's plenty of interest from the public about this, too. Chad Pergram at Fox News.
It's not that big a hearing room, frankly, and already there is a line. We don't know how long the hearing is going to last. We don't know just how many questions there might be. We don't know if he will take the fifth at all, but he will, in fact, be here under subpoena today. He's going to be asked questions about his diaries, the start of the pandemic, what started it. Did it come from the lab? Did it come from a bat? And also, if you look at some of these diary entries, whether or not he was more focused on trying to get attention for himself compared to trying to address the pandemic.
Senator Rand Paul has long argued that Fauci outright lied about COVID's origins and his recommendations about closing schools. Before this next story, a warning that some of the details are gruesome and may not be suitable for kids. Police in Portland, Sumner County have now released the final findings of a dog attack that took place inside of a home.
News 2 says the report shows an officer responding to the home the morning of April 20th found evidence of severe injuries before encountering the mother holding what appeared to be a decapitated baby. The victim, later identified as Evelyn Templeton. Authorities say the autopsy classified the death as accidental. The case has now been closed. No charges will be filed. Officers had to put the dog down at the scene. Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Yeah, and this morning, Tennessee Titans players report for the first day of training camp. This will be the first training camp for Robert Saleh as head coach. No pads for the first 4 days. Saleh says that the intensity level will slowly build. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN
They
News.
still have, Joan, in football, do they still have Hell Week? Like, did they do that in professional football?
Isn't that just like a football at the high school level thing?
I don't know, man.
Dan?
I can tell you when I was in high school, I dreaded the first week.
Well,
God, they called it Hell Week for a reason. It was because you had to do push-ups and run around the knucklehead tree and the whole thing.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking the weather's not like very favorable this time of the year for being outside and, running around a field.
They train inside, don't they?
Do they? I'm not even sure.
I don't. You know what?
I would hope
Joan,
for them.
I don't even. Why am I even asking? I don't care about the Titans. Why do I even? Whatever. Thank you, Joan.
Because it's of interest in the news. There you go.
Thank you. I care about the Vols.
Okay.
That's what I care about.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, 6:32, Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mand is here, lifelong dog owner. I've seen all kinds of behaviors with my animals, and I bet you have too. Now, if you've got a dog that needs some behavior training, my buddy Jeff and his crew at Ridgeside Canine Nashville, they can help you. Now, I call these folks the Dog Whisperers, and they've helped thousands of dogs and their owners over the last 25 years solve behavioral issues. They can help you as well. Aggression, potty problems, anxiety, basic obedience. Yeah, they can help you. Help your precious dog with just about anything. What I really like about Ridgeside Canine Nashville is that they believe that owner education is just as important as dog training, and long-term success with your dog starts with you. At Ridgeside Canine Nashville, they've got a lifetime support guarantee. They are there for you 24/7. So check them out. Ridgeside Canine Nashville, rsk9nash.com. That's the website. The letter K, the number 9, rsk9nash.com. Ridgeside Canine Nashville. Tell him Dan Mand has told you to reach out. Veteran-owned, proven results, and guaranteed for life.
Okay, if you're traveling on 65 in the south, I make that the northbound lanes in Brentwood this morning, watch it. There's a crash. A car is up against the wall in the HOV lane, which is now blocked. It's in a curve, too, right at Old Hickory Boulevard. Be careful. Rivergate, Gallatin Pike North at Rivergate Parkway, a crash. And we've got an overturned vehicle on 40 eastbound in Dixon. This is just before Centerville-Dixon Road, and the left lane is blocked. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.637 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson joining us on the Newsmaker Hotline. How are you, sir?
Hey, good morning, Dan.
So I got to clear something up. So Sam is all giddy because apparently you and he had a conversation off the air. And you said that you used to work in radio. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. I worked in radio when I was in high school and college, mainly music radio. A little small town. I think it was a whopping 1,000 watts in Burnett, Texas. KHLB, Real Country. Three in a row, all day long. Yeah.
So if I get Sam to cue up some Merle Haggard, could you hit the post?
It's been a long time, And I actually had to, cue up the records. You put them on. And, and then like a half a turn backwards, once the music started, and
so
it was a lot of fun.
Records.
So Senator, you know all about cue burn on a record.
I do. Yes.
There you go. For people that don't know, way back in the days of me, Joan, and Jack Johnson, when we were all disc jockeys, I will speak for myself. I was terrible, which led me to get into radio in a format where I just nonstop talking, right? So, but when you would cue up the record, you'd have a bunch of like what you would call static or cue burn because people would always cue up the record. Anyway, whatever. So thank you, Jack Johnson, for joining us. So you're in Chicago.
Yes, sir.
And you're at, the way I understood it, you're at some sort of a place or some sort of a thing where a bunch of state lawmakers are talking about what is impacting their state. Do I have that right?
Yeah, absolutely. There are a couple of organizations made up of state legislatures from across the country. One is the National Conference of State Legislatures, and Tennessee is a member, as are I think most states, if not all states, of two or three of these more prominent organizations. And they do policy research. They look into issues and kind of best practices. You can look at what other states are doing to address certain types of problems. And they host an event or two. This is for NCSL, as we refer to it, is their big annual event. And it's good because you can meet with legislators from other states, bring in a lot of experts talking about a lot of different subject matters. And it's bipartisan, so there are left-leaning states, and there are obviously very conservative states like Tennessee. And so, yeah, you can kind of share best practices. So
so basically, do all the conservatives look side-eye at the people from like New York and Illinois?
Well, let's just say sometimes you're in some of these sessions and you're listening to a presenter, and they kind of start to take more of a leftward track, if you will, on a particular issue. And there's some eye rolls, and then maybe occasionally you see some folks get up and leave. Okay, I don't think this session I'm getting much out of this session for my state, and I'm going to move on to a different.
All you got to do is do the opposite of the state of New York, and everybody kind of knows. All right, real quick. So let's talk about flock cameras, which is the purpose of this conversation. So we had Jason Zachary come out. The story was yesterday, where he comes out and he says, in the next in the next session, we are going to talk about flock cameras in the state of Tennessee. This has become a very big deal. For obvious reasons, this is now very much in the news these days. And so let's talk about, number one, what is the policy, or is there a policy in the state of Tennessee regarding flock cameras?
Well, great question, Dan, and your timing is really good because there have been some conversations up here at this conference about this particular issue and the broader implications of AI, and they are related. And hopefully, I can bring that together for you and your audience. So, first of all, it's my understanding Flock is a brand name of a private sector company. There could be others, and quite frankly, I don't think in Tennessee the name Flock is being received very well. So maybe an unfortunate circumstance for this particular company, because what we have on the books right now in Tennessee is a very vague statute. It was passed over 10 years ago. I think it was in 2014, so over a decade ago, relative to the use of license plate readers. In the statute we have in place right now, it just basically addresses the confidentiality of any data that is collected and makes it not subject to FOIA. So a person or a media outlet can't request from the local government or the law enforcement agency that has collected any information that's been obtained through a license plate reader. As you know, they are being used in a couple of communities. Your backyard in Mount Juliet is using license plate readers to apprehend vehicles or identify vehicles that are wanted or perhaps being driven by someone who's committed some type of a crime. Here's the problem, though. As AI is advancing as rapidly as it is and data is being collected, I am not comfortable with government at any levels, local, state, or federal, collecting that data and surveilling people in violation of the Fourth Amendment, in my view, and that's where I think we're headed. And so all that to say, I agree wholeheartedly with my friend Jason Zachary. I'll tell you who else has been a vocal critic of this is Congressman Tim Burchett. He has introduced the Protection Against Mass Surveillance Act at the federal level. Mayor Glenn Jacobs over in Knox County. And so the General Assembly is going to have to take a hard look at this and either ban them or make sure that our constituents are comfortable with any data that's been collected.
I think part of it, we talked about this yesterday, Jack Johnson joining us, is people would feel more comfortable if there was, number one, the law enforcement folks needed a warrant to access the information if they stay. Number two is some sort of a control over the information, because when you look at the instances of abuse across the country, it's because, the data is there, it's collected, and then anybody, it seems, can just willy-nilly go in there and start tracking, their wife, their loved one, ex, whatever it is. And so part of that conversation, Senator, I think would have to be a control over the information.
100% agree with you, Dan. And again, if you were going back with regards to 1980s or 90s or even early 2000s technology, and the premise I've heard, and many folks on 99.7 have talked about this and done a really good job about it. If a child is abducted, or if a bank is robbed, or some type of a crime is committed, and someone got a license plate number or a description of the vehicle, I don't think any of us have an inherent objection to law enforcement, our valued brave men and women in law enforcement, having some tools to help find that person or that vehicle who abducted that child or robbed that bank or committed, some type of a serious crime. But it's always that tension between liberty and security. And in Tennessee, given our people, and certainly as reflected by members of the General Assembly, we're always going to err on the side of liberty over security. But we need to strike that balance if we can to make sure our law enforcement officers have the tools that they need. But again, as it stands today, I'm not comfortable, and I'm aligned with Mayor Glenn Jacobs, Congressman Tim Burchett, Representative Jason Zachary, and I think the General Assembly has to take a hard look at this. If we can't figure out a way to utilize these things and make sure that people's liberties and rights are protected, then we need to press pause on the utilization of this technology and until we've fully contemplated the implications of AI or any other technology that could lead to people's rights being violated. And I'm not comfortable with that, and we have to put a stop to it.
Is there a difference between, in your mind, a flock camera and LPRs? In other words, if you ban flock cameras, are we still able to keep the LPRs?
Well, that's something that we have to look at, right? Because if you say that LPRs are, in the example I gave, which is kind of how we were looking at it over a decade ago, is that, look, these cameras and this technology, they're not surveilling you. They're not violating your Fourth Amendment. Law enforcement knows of a crime that was committed. They have information regarding a vehicle that's being driven by the perpetrator of that crime. We're going to utilize these cameras to try to find that one person. Okay, that's one way to think about it and look about it. But in this day and age, again, with artificial intelligence and technology evolving as rapidly as it is, it doesn't take a conspiracy theorist to realize how that could very quickly get out of hand. And next thing you know, we're all being surveilled. And none of us want that. I won't stand for it. I don't think my colleagues in the General Assembly will either. So we have to look at it through the prism of current technology that's available.
You are absolutely right, and I appreciate that. More with Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson coming up. 15 seconds for traffic on WTN. As far as weather goes, it's going to be hot today, sunny skies by this afternoon, a high 90, going to feel like 94. Senator Jack Johnson joining us. And let me ask you this, as far as data centers now, pivoting to data centers, it's almost like we've got all of this technology that has been coming at us like a freight train, and now they're here, whether we're talking about, these flock cameras or data centers. And so let's pivot to the conversation about data centers, because that has also been in the news. The state legislature, maybe in the next session, is there going to be any talk about some sort of a statewide regulation or regulations regarding data centers?
Well, I think we have to look at it. Now, we need to tread carefully on this particular subject matter, because now we're talking about land use and zoning, which we have delegated to our local governments. And I'm very cautious about the state coming in and telling local governments about where they can put factories, or, where they can put liquor stores and churches and schools and all this kind of stuff. That's why we have local governments to make some of those decisions. Now, from a broader standpoint, relative to water use, heat generation, that type of thing. Energy use, which we've already addressed that in Tennessee. We've passed legislation that says, if a data center is being built and it's going to be in the power grid, you can't shift the expense of the energy that's necessary to run that data center onto the ordinary ratepayers. That's an example of things that I do think are the purview of state government on a more broad basis. Look, data centers are here to stay. Again, up here at this conference, there's a lot of discussion about data centers and AI and how we're going to end up having more, not less, data centers. And so where should they be? Obviously in Nashville, the conversation, I don't think you ought to be putting a data center right next to a zoo. That doesn't make sense to me, or right next to a school. But there are places where I think it's probably safe, as long as they can get the power and whatever necessary to cool the servers. And usually that's water, without an environmental impact on the local community. So again, going to be a big topic of conversation for us when we come back in January.
All right. And when you come back in January, you've got those couple of topics. Do you, at this point in July, I know it's, ways away, but what, perhaps in the minute that we have left, what are some of the other things that will be the focus of the state legislature coming up in 2027?
Well, staying in the same conversation, the same subject matter, AI is probably the number one subject matter of this conference, and that's not surprising, because AI is evolving rapidly. We had a session yesterday morning, Dan, with a professor named Jeffrey Hinton. I wrote his name down. I'm going to research him more whenever I get home. He won the Nobel Prize in 2024 based on his work in artificial intelligence. And he spoke yesterday at a session, and frankly, it was pretty scary talking about what AI is going to be capable of, and the technology, how it's going to evolve very rapidly in coming years, and the implications of that on society, on education and healthcare delivery. We know there's going to be a lot of exciting things and good things that are going to come from AI and that evolving technology, but there's a lot of scary stuff too, especially in the hands of government. And as you know, I've been on your show many times, what led me to get involved in government is my suspicion of government. And I believe in small, limited government, personal liberty, and freedom. And so I think members of the General Assembly, we're going to be taking a really strong look at what we can do as a state to not impede the development of AI when it can do really good things, but also make sure that it's not be using for nefarious purposes.
We will leave it there. Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson for the state of Tennessee. Always great to have you on, and have a safe trip back from Chicago.
Thanks, Dan. Have a great day.
All right, we'll see you. 6:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know, Joan, I so wanted to put him in an awkward position and say, you know what, you're going to be fine in Chicago, but don't go outside, and if you do, bring a bulletproof vest and keep your head down.
Level 4 plates, Senator. Level 4 plates.
Level 4 plates.
That's the armament you put in to be bulletproof.
Oh, got it.
That's
okay.
So for the longest time it was like, hey, grab your Kevlar vest, officers. Now it's an actual vest that you slide a literal metal plate into.
And you know what the thing is? I'd be willing to bet that if I went to Chicago, I'd have a grand time. But it's just the problem is that they get such negative publicity from the crime, their governor, their jackhole mayor. I mean, it's just the sanctuary cities. There's just so much negative publicity on Chicago that I have no interest in. Do you know if I had a weekend where I could get away and actually go do something and enjoy myself, do you know where I would go?
Anywhere but Chicago?
I would go to Dollywood. I'd go to Pigeon Forge. Amy and I are trying to figure out when we actually have a weekend that I, and the youngling can go off to, to Pigeon Forge and spend some time at Dollywood and that kind of thing.
Do it before the summer's over and hit up Splash and Safari.
Yeah,
Ooh,
we could do that as well. My favorite time of the year with Dollywood is Halloween and Christmas time.
Yeah.
Halloween when they put out all the pumpkins.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's amazing.
I am 58 years old, and the first time Amy dragged me kicking and screaming to Dollywood, I think it was around Halloween time. And I was like...
You fell in love, right?
I fell in love.
Have you gone
with
up to the top
Dollywood.
during Christmas to see the Christmas tree when they make it snow?
So here's the problem. I have only been to Dollywood during Halloween time.
Oh, no.
I can't seem to, for whatever reason, I can't get there during Christmas time. One of the reasons is because I'm so busy around the holidays, because that's when I do a lot of other fill-in and stuff. I've got to, though, get to Dollywood when it's Christmas time with the lights and all that kind of stuff.
It's fun.
Well, maybe this will be the year. It is quite literally a bucket list. Anyway, 6:54. Also, by the way, Joan, just so you know, and management, if they happen to be listening, also on my bucket list at some point, we'll be taking my breaks on time. It is 6:54, and Joan's got the news at 7. Joan.
Yeah, coming up, we'll tell you why the White House is going to welcome a 16-year-old for a big civilian honor. That story coming up at 7 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. My friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, they are in the middle of their back-to-school drive for kids, oddly enough, heading back to school. So if you donate to their back-to-school drive, you get $50 off of any service. It's very cool. I love that they are so engaged with the community, Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. So right now, through the beginning of August, you drop off pens and pencils and notebooks and any other school supplies. You do get that $50 off of any service. You drop the school supplies off at their shop in Lebanon or this coming weekend, August 1st, at the Mount Juliet Chamber of Commerce. You can find out all the details at busybhvac.com. Now, while you're at the website, check out great deals on plumbing, HVAC, and indoor air quality. Plus, the Beehive Club is always a great option for keeping your HVAC maintained over the long run so that you're actually saving money by keeping your unit running at peak efficiency for maximum comfort. By the way, this month, you buy a membership, you get a free one to give to a friend. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Call them, tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-246-5009. 615-246-5009. Pain is bad, I should say. busybhvac.com. 6:59, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Appreciate you listening. And Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986. Now, coming up, Brian Wilson is going to join us. It is Wednesdays with Wilson, so we'll talk to Brian. By the way, don't forget, on Election Day, primary Election Day, August 6th, we have a big event scheduled at Hop Springs in Murfreesboro. So the four hosts will be there. And of course, we always look forward to meeting you folks. And if you've come out before, you know how great these events are. We'll be broadcasting live. Matt will be there beginning at 3, and then we go all the way to 10 o'clock. And it's always a great time. So check out all the details, if you would. 997WTN.com. We've got a lot more straight ahead. 615-737-9986. Again, Super Text line is open. Stay close. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 7 o'clock now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Your forecast and traffic still to come. A Sumner County teacher has been put on leave and will likely be fired after declaring herself an activist to her students and expressing her views on immigrations and customs enforcement. News 2's Sam Chimenti with more on Stephanie Braswell's dismissal.
This past January, Braswell was put on administrative leave after the district claims she expressed her political views with students, which made them feel uncomfortable. Director of Schools Scott Langford says his suggestion to dismiss Braswell is based on, quote, incompetency and insubordination. There are other issues listed in this memo from Langford, including poor classroom management, that's a big one, and interactions with students, delayed grading practices, video recording of students without consent, and being unprofessional with parents.
Braswell denies the charges, tells News 2 she plans to hire an attorney. Well, it's go time. Dr. Anthony Fauci is going to have to answer questions about his handling of the COVID pandemic and his ego-stroking diary when he visits Capitol Hill today. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer is warning Fauci that his presidential pardon has limits. Chad Pergam at Fox News on that.
Well, Rand Paul said that he just wants the truth. He said so long as he says what's the truth, that's fine. But he says if he says something new here and something that is contradictory or he doesn't tell the truth, keep in mind that that is not handled by that pardon extended by former President Biden. So we'll see what he says during the testimony today and whether or not the Republican senators believe him.
Now, hundreds of pages of Fauci's diary kept on a government computer have been made public this week. American Airlines flights are back on track this morning after an IT outage led to a nationwide ground stop last night. The company said a, quote, technology issue briefly impacted connectivity. The ground stop lasted for about 45 minutes. And you may have seen the video of a dramatic rescue of a 16-year-old California lifeguard saving the life of a young boy. He was struggling in very rough surf, having been pulled down under monster high waves over and over. Well, the lifeguard saves the kid, pulling him to the surf, ducking under waves as they come in. Now, President Trump announced last night that he's going to award that lifeguard with a high civilian honor at the White House, calling the teen very brave. The president said the boy who was saved may also be attending. By the way, he is okay. He was evaluated by emergency crews on the beach and then released to his parents. If you haven't seen this video yet, you want to check it out. It's on my X account. You can find me at Joan Jones WTN. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management online at beaconcm.com. And stock futures this morning are mixed. We've got Dow futures minus 182. NASDAQ futures, however, up now 41, and the S&P futures are gaining 12. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. On 40 eastbound this morning in the Dixon, Tennessee area, you've got an overturned truck on the eastbound lanes of 40 before Centerville Dixon exit 163. Drivers are getting by it on the right shoulder. Careful there. Also, 24 eastbound in Antioch, past Hickory Hollow Parkway, a crash takes out the right lane. Also on in Antioch on Cane Ridge Parkway at Century Farms Parkway. That is another scene of a crash. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.707 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Wednesdays with Wilson, one of my favorite times of the week. Brian Wilson joining us. Hello, Brian. How are you?
It's just one of your favorite times? I would think this would be like the highlight of your week, right?
I'm sorry, Brian, but, Friday at like 8:55, that's really my favorite time. By the way, real quick, I don't know if you heard my my conversation with Jack Johnson or the discussion that followed about Chicago, but I made some snide comments about Chicago, and apparently 98.35, I've offended the delicate sensibilities of 98.35. You ready on the text line?
Okay.
Yeah, and idiots like you are the source of those rumors about Chicago. Okay.
No.
So I got that, but then I got a note from Chicago because, people hear me on like Red Eye or whatever, and so they listen to the local show here. So from Chicago, he says 0994, and he says, hey, it's Michael in Chicago. My wife and I were in Franklin last week looking to come back. He says, we lived here for 10 years. He says, I grew up here in Chicago, wanted to come back, but now it is time to leave again. It's a great city, but you never know where major trouble is going to pop up. He says that you never know what's going to happen in Chicago. And, you talk to people from Chicago, they'll tell you that there's a lot of stuff that happens, and oftentimes it's not good. So one guy telling me, oh, you're just making up a whole bunch of rumors about Chicago. Literally, I'm hearing from a guy in Chicago who says, I lived in Chicago, then Franklin, moved back to Chicago. Now we're coming back to Tennessee because Chicago just is not our cup of tea. So anyway, there you go.
I sort of get the impression that Chicago is very much like D.C. was before they cleaned it up. I mean, in D.C., in the downtown area, what we call the monumental core of the city, you would be okay, if you stayed, there, because there's a lot of park police, and you would feel fairly safe. But if you got off a couple of blocks, it took a wrong turn here that you didn't, and you got a little lost, you could find yourself in pretty rough neighborhoods in D.C. pretty quickly, and I think that's sort of what's going on as well in Chicago. There are places where I think you'll be pretty safe, but if you make a wrong turn, the next thing you know, you're in trouble. It's a rough town, and it gets you. Isn't it interesting that the roughest towns are the ones that have the strictest gun laws?
Odd how that works out, isn't it, Brian?
Funny how that always works out. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Donald Trump. So he and John Thune in the Senate, everybody's going back and forth. I can't believe with so much work that needs to be done, i.e. the SAVE Act, they've decided to go on August recess.
Yeah. It's hard to tell a senator who's running for re-election you're not going to be able to go out there and run for reelection. And remember, a third of the Senate is always up for reelection every 2 years. So, and you got people like Susan Collins. As much as we cuss Susan Collins as being a rhino because she has an R after her name, it helps us control the body, and so we need to protect Susan Collins in order to protect the Republican control of the Senate. And so, she needs to get out there. I don't know. It is maddening. It's just maddening that we can't get this SAVE Act passed. And what I'm trying to figure out is, who is it on the Republican side that's absolutely standing in the way, and why aren't we going after those people? Well, I think those people are people like Susan Collins of Maine, for one.
Lisa Murkowski.
Tom
Tillis.
Yeah, and where the hell is Mitch McConnell? Who knows? We don't know.
I think isn't he out of the hospital? I've lost interest in the story.
I think he's out of the hospital, but he's still going through rehab. And the governor of Kentucky, who's a Democrat, is he's poking the bear. Excuse me, where is Senator McConnell?
Well,
where is Senator? And of course, he wants to point out that he's incapacitated. It's to his advantage politically to do that. But again, where is Mitch McConnell on this issue of the SAVE Act? I don't know. But when you hear Thune say he doesn't have the votes, that means even under this process where you shove the SAVE Act into a budget matter and you just need 50 votes instead of the regular 60 votes, he says he doesn't have 50 votes.
No, and Mitch McConnell has been against the SAVE Act. So, here's the deal. Number one, on the Mitch McConnell thing, then we'll move on. But all Mitch has to do is give like an interview, and he hasn't done that. So I think there's a lot of people that are wondering, okay, so is he mentally incapacitated? Did he have a stroke and he's not able to speak, think, whatever? So there's some legit concerns about Mitch McConnell.
I think the people of Kentucky, I don't know, call me old-fashioned. I think people of Kentucky ought to know whether or not they have a senator who's capable of conducting the work of a senator.
Yep. No, you're right.
And people say, I have talked to him on the phone, and he sounds great, and he's sharp as a tack. Well, okay, maybe that's true. Excuse me just a second. Maybe that's true, but here's the thing. We heard that about Joe Biden, too, and so we know that turned out not to be. I think we have an obligation to tell us, what's going on with him. I do. Even if it's not really to our benefit, the people of Kentucky have the right to know, is their senator, able to be a senator?
One of the interesting things about what's going on right now is that you do have, of course, with the conversation about the SAVE Act, you also have the conversation about the filibuster and nuking the filibuster. Interesting that John Fetterman, who a Democrat, has come out now and says that he is supporting the filibuster.
He's in support of keeping the filibuster in place. And here's what I'm going to say this again, and everybody will say I'm crazy, but I don't think I am. I think I'm spot on with this. There are a great number of senators on both sides of the equation, both Democrat and Republican, who support the filibuster and the concept of the filibuster and would be against getting rid of the filibuster. He doesn't have the votes. He doesn't have 51 votes to change the filibuster if he wanted to. Doesn't have 50 votes, and he could. You need 50 plus the vice president. He doesn't have it, and so as well. At the end, then we hear people say, "Well, okay, then the Democrats, if they get control of the body, they're going to do it. They don't have it either. I don't think." And Fetterman coming out and putting this on the record sort of demonstrates that the filibuster, I think, is here to stay. And again, the senators understand, even though they want to keep the filibuster in place, they're not anxious to be put on record about it,
right?
Because they know how unpopular it is.
Absolutely. All right, it is 7:15. More with Brian Wilson coming up. Time to check the roads on WTN. Sunny skies this afternoon, a high of 90, going to feel like 94. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. So I don't know if you were shocked. Wasn't a shock to me, though, Brian, that Cracker Barrel's CEO Julie Masino is stepping down. I wonder now, do we need to put air quotes around stepping down, or has she been shown the door?
No, she's been shown the door, and apparently they're trying to make it, friendly. She'll be here through, middle of August to answer any questions and make sure that there's a smooth. No, she's packed her bags and she is out the door. And this is a perfect example of two things. And number one, the old adage that woke is broke. Yes, again, another indication that when she tried to do this big woke rebrand, it didn't go well, and she ended up having to cancel the whole thing, and it irritated the base of people who go, and I think somewhere around 20% of their business just disappeared overnight after this whole big controversy with the Cracker Barrel CEO. Her name was Julie Fells, I think it was. All right, so we got all that, got a new guy coming in, but the other thing it teaches us is, and how many times do we need to remind people of this? If something ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They want a new manager. Oh, we got new management coming in. They got to fix something because, because I'm a new manager. I got to put my fingerprints all over something, whether it needs to be changed or not. There was a lot good about what was going on with Cracker Barrel, but when she came in, we have to put our fingerprints on it. And when she did, she found out very quickly people don't like change sometimes. Kind of
sounds, Brian, like in radio or TV when a new manager comes in.
Oh, yeah. I would. I'll take the fifth on that one. No, but it's true. I think in everybody's business, and no matter what business you're in, you get a new boss in, and guess what they do? Well, they got to do something. They got to put their fingerprint. They got to put their imprint on it.
Yeah.
The best. There was a period of time when I worked in a newsroom, and over a course of, I think it was 12 years, I had 9 different news directors, and they came and they went, and I got along with about, almost all of them. I got along pretty well. But you never knew. And every single, the best ones were the one who came in and said, look around here. There's a lot going on here that's right. I'm not going to mess that up. I'm going to touch very lightly.
Yeah.
And those were the best managers, those who kept a very light touch and said, we're not going to just blow things up just for the sake of blowing them up. I mean, the joke was, well, we got a new news director. I guess we'll have to repaint the set now. Every news director would come in and hate the colors of the set. And so you had to paint them. And we went through purple sets, and we went through brown sets, and we went through beige sets, and we went through red, white, and blue sets. Mm-hmm. We had all kinds of sets. We had crystal sets at one point, but because every news director came in, had to change the set somehow. So, that's just the way it is. And I think it is that way in a lot of business.
It is. I don't know about you, Brian. I've never worked in, and then I'm going to move on, but I've never worked in anything other than radio. But from what I understand, it's the same thing in like journalism. Obviously, as you just said, television as well. So, I mean, it is probably in all businesses. Anthony Fauci is going in front of, he's going in front of a Senate committee, but really he's going in front of Rand Paul.
Yeah, and this is going to be an interesting showdown. And he, Rand Paul, I remember back during COVID, everybody said, "Oh, Rand Paul's just being a crank," he just being Rand Paul. That's just the way he is. He's just a cranky old man, and he doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, you know what? We owe him a big apology because he knew exactly what he was talking about. And by releasing the diaries of Anthony Fauci, who, remember, he's the voice of science.
Yes.
Remember,
he represents science.
Yeah, well, I've got that right here.
I represent science.
Got that right there on a button. Yeah, he represents all science. And now we're finding out that the things he was writing in his private diary were and the things that he was willing to admit to his diary were very different than the things that he was telling the American people at the time.
Yep. I mean,
and Rand Paul has been proven right on this one, and we owe him a debt of thanks for sticking it out. And it's going to be a very interesting hearing today on Capitol Hill.
And one of the things, there's two parts to the diaries of Anthony Fauci, right? There is the world is talking about me. They want me on Dancing with the Stars.
I great? Yeah.
I got to speak to Barbara Streisand, right? There's a lot of folks that are, focused on that. But, to me, it's like when he wrote that the Wuhan wet market was an amplifier of the virus, not the origin. But he continued that narrative for a long time. We all knew that it came from the lab. I mean, there's a lot of things. He was worried about his grant maybe funding the gain of function research that COVID came from. So that's why he really hit the wet market story hard. So I guess the question is, and there's some people that are saying, and I've got some audio on this in the next hour, but, the big question is ultimately going to be, if he lies, because he's going to be under oath, and if he commits perjury, is he covered by the Biden auto pen pardon? There's some people, James Comer has come out and said, no, he will not be protected. Others have come out, analysts have said, no, if he lies under oath, then that is not covered by Biden's auto pen. I mean, I'll let the legal experts, battle that one out, but I don't know. What do you think?
I think you can't lie to Congress under oath no matter what, and I don't think that would be covered. I mean, lying to Congress under oath, actively lying to Congress under oath, I don't think that. I think he's got real problems here, and but I mean, really, honestly, think about this. I mean, we now know, that he knew that exactly what he was doing and knew exactly that what he had done, would not take responsibility for it, kept claiming, there was no gain of function research going on when he knew full well that there was.
Yep.
The man has got it's got to have some kind of legal, it would seem, danger, got to be in some kind of legal danger from all of this, and I just don't see that developing under that protection he got from the pardon.
Do you think
there are legitimate questions here about all this,
and
is there any bigger story? I can't think of one.
Think he's going to plead the fifth?
I think he might. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, that'll be a disappointment.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to see Fauci just get hammered by Rand Paul. I mean, there's a lot that he has said that, obviously looking back, the lockdowns and how he was so proud that he convinced Gavin Newsom and de Blasio to lock down their cities and their states. He was very proud of that, even though we now know what those lockdowns did to children. So specifically
I think one of the things that we look back at that, I think it's how lucky we were to have, a governor who looked at it. Now, look, I mean, in the early going, yes, maybe everybody overreacted a little bit because we didn't really know exactly what we had, and we were still trying to figure it out. And in an abundance of caution, maybe we overreacted in the early going. But our state figured it out really quickly as these things go. And they loosened up the statewide requirements, and eventually, Nashville had to follow suit because everybody else was, loosening up their thing. And I think we took the right action. When you look back at it, we had it right, and it was all these nervous Nellies who overreacted that had it wrong. And if we're to have another something like this, another kind of virus that everybody became concerned of, I'm pretty sure we're going to handle it differently than we did last time, because I think we made a lot of huge mistakes in the way that was all handled.
Well, and Brian, you talk about the nervous Nellies as we wrap this up. I mean, California, Massachusetts, Illinois. Right. You talked about going back to Maryland for a time long after COVID and long after we were open here in Tennessee. And you were talking about how, my God, they're still, if I remember right, they were still in the midst of some restrictions and mask wearing.
You still had to have a mask everywhere you went, and you could not go to, even then, long after Tennessee restaurants and bars had reopened, you couldn't go to a restaurant. When I got there, I was shocked when I got there that it was still the case that you could not find restaurant it was months and months after we'd opened it up in Nashville. It was still closed in parts of Maryland right outside D.C.
All right, well, always great to talk to you, Brian. We'll talk to you again next Wednesday at the same time, or as news happens. Brian, you got any big fill-in dates coming up?
Oh, yes, I do. I'm glad you asked, Dan. I was just going to try to shoehorn this in. I'm going to be filling in for the one, the only Chris Plant on Westwood 1 tomorrow. If you want to listen, it would be from our time, 8 to 11. On the WMAL app, but I know you, of course, people will remain loyal and listen here to Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, Brian, thank you.
That's where I'll be for one day.
All right, very much appreciated, Brian, and we'll talk to you again soon. 7:26, Joan's got the news coming up at 7:30. Joan.
Yeah, coming up, President Trump goes on an expletive-laden tirade, angered about a surprise attack by Iran on U.S. forces. It's coming up at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. Dan Mandis here for the Wellness Institute of Nashville. If you've been suffering from chronic back pain, neck pain, or knee pain, the Wellness Institute of Nashville, they can help you like they've helped so many others across Middle Tennessee. Whether it's non-surgical spinal decompression or the brand new Medical Bay 1, they've always got the latest and greatest technology to help you get off the sidelines and back in the game. Now, they did it for me years ago. They can do it for you today. The Medical Bay 1, by the way, right now, they've got a great deal going on. You mention my name, get $33 off of each visit. It is the Epic Spinal Special. Now, you may ask, what is Medical Bay 1? It uses red light technology and stem cell stimulation for tissue regeneration and healing. So, have an active summer and feel like the person you used to be. Courtesy of the Wellness Institute of Nashville, 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009, painisbad.com. Dan Mandis here for the covered patio. Listen, it is nice outside. Warmer weather means you want to spend more time outside. Now, if you want to add more living space to your home, think about building or upgrading your patio. If you don't have one, the covered patio can build you one. If you've got one but you want to upgrade it, call the covered patio. Now, how can they upgrade your existing patio? They've got motorized screens so that you can easily keep the patio open when you want some sun and closed when you want some shade. So your back screened-in porch becomes a lot more enjoyable. Now, the covered patio, they've got a ton of outdoor living options. Again, motorized screens, patio covers, custom wooden decks, and outdoor structures. They've got a ton of options with styles for every budget. Now, the covered patio is dedicated to fair prices and customized solutions for your specific home and space. So enjoy your home a lot more with an incredible patio upgrade from the Covered Patio. Reach out to the Covered Patio, 615-695-2407, 615-695-2407, online, thecoveredpatio.com, thecoveredpatio.com.
Good morning. It is 7:31. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. And Iran has launched a surprise ballistic missile attack on American forces in Jordan. It's an act that the Pentagon sees as a violent escalation of the war in Iran. Trey Yingst at Fox News says he spoke with President Trump moments ago about what the U.S. response would be.
President Trump telling Fox News we are going to beat the effing S out of them, and that U.S. strikes will take place against Iran in response to the surprise attack overnight against U.S. forces in Jordan. He says U.S. forces had just minutes to shoot down these incoming Iranian ballistic missiles. The president says he has reviewed video of the shoot down, and it was U.S. forces conducting this operation to defend that area.
No, the missiles were all intercepted, but it does mark a shift for Iran, which normally fires on U.S. forces in retaliation for American airstrikes. This one was unprompted. The former bus driver convicted in a 2016 crash that killed 6 children in Chattanooga has been arrested once again. Jonathan Walker is his name. He's been accused of breaking into an apartment belonging to a young woman that he had been convicted of raping years ago. He reportedly strangled her.
Police records show the victim was sexually abused by Walker years ago and was convicted of raping her when she was 14. Walker is also accused of tripping the victim's daughter. He's also a sex offender, so he faces charges for violating the sex offender registry.
For Danielle Ledbetter there, Walker's now 33 years old. He's facing 7 new charges. And President Trump's lawyers are asking the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn that $83 million defamation judgment that he was ordered to pay to E. Jean Carroll. Trump's lawyers argue he's entitled to presidential immunity because he made the comments while he was serving as president in response to reporters' questions, which centered on his fitness for office. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 733 Super Talk 99.7. And I want to tell you about my friends at the Generator Super Center. One of your biggest priorities in life is to protect your family. And if the power goes out in your neighborhood, you need to get it back on quickly. You need to call the Generator Super Center and get one of their great backup home standby generators. Now, you've heard the horror stories of power being out for days or weeks at a time. We all lived through it back in January. The Generator Super Center provides backup home standby generators at a terrific price and outstanding customer service. Now, as a matter of fact, go to their website right now and find out how you can save $500. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. That website is GeneratorSuperCenterofNashville.com and see how you can get started. Now, they do feature turnkey installation, certified plumbers and electricians, and service after the install, and a whole lot more. So, the power goes out in your neighborhood. You've got a backup power generator, so your power goes right back on. At the Generator Super Center, they also have their generators made right here in America. So call them, tell them Dan told you to reach out, 615-879-1952, 615-879-1952. And don't forget to check out their website, GeneratorSuperCenterofNashville.com, and see how you can save $500.
There is an accident in an overturned pickup truck on eastbound 40 this morning in Dixon. Now, it's just before Centerville-Dixon Road, exit 163. The through lanes are all blocked off. We've got drivers passing on the right shoulder to get around that this morning. On the westbound side in that same area, you've got first responders in the left lane blocking it off there. That's ambulances and first responders. They're working on that crash in the eastbound lane. Big mess on 40 eastbound at Centerville-Dixon this morning. Also, at the Eastern Split 24 westbound before the Eastern Split for I-40, you've got an accident in that spot. And also in Antioch on 24 eastbound past Hickory Hollow Parkway, it's a crash that's on the right shoulder. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$7:38 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So apparently, Joan, we're going to have a bit of a debate over Chicago.
Is that right?
Yeah, because Dwight, Illinois, has now checked in, and he says that I married into a White Sox family, and he says my wife and I go to games on the South Side, and I hold my breath out of fear.
Oh boy!
Every single time.
Wow.
That's what I've heard. I've heard that Wrigley is on the nice side of town.
Yeah. Wrigley's on the north side.
And the Sox is on the south side.
And the Sox are on the south side. And, that's why...
that's why the Savannah Bananas held their game at Wrigley and not the Sox Stadium.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but, Obama's presidential library thing.
The trash can?
The big trash can. They had to make it out of that material because it's apparently maybe bulletproof. I don't know if that's true, but I thought it would be a funny joke, but apparently not. Anyway.
Oh, that was a joke.
You know what?
Well, what do you know?
It could be bulletproof for all we know. I mean, look at the thing. Are people going to that, by the way? Like, has attendance been? I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, so listen.
Who do you believe when you when you find out those numbers? Like, the Obama library, whatever, would be releasing the numbers of the number of people.
The same people that were counting COVID deaths.
Yes.
3,400 people visited the museum during its first 2 days.
Because, when they were counting COVID deaths, remember way back when Fauci's going to be testifying. So, a guy would get into a motorcycle accident and die. But if he died with COVID, if he tested positive for COVID, they counted that as a death. That's what I mean by that. So Fauci, I got to tell you, he is going to have a hard time today. And somebody... the haters are out and about this morning, Joan. One guy said, well, Mandis, if you would stop suggesting to Fauci that he, plead the fifth, that's like he's really listening to me right now. You know what I mean? By the way, we talked about this a little bit earlier, President Trump, who does not like Fauci in any way, shape, or form, he posted Anthony Fauci's infamous first pitch. We talked about this in the 5 o'clock hour. And if you're watching on Super Talk TV, he posted a video of Anthony Fauci's first pitch. How ridiculous does he look for people listening on the radio? He is in the middle of Nationals Park, and he's wearing a mask on the pitcher's mound with literally no one around him. That's how insane it got back then. Y'all remember the debates.
It's almost like wearing the mask in the car when you're by yourself and the windows are up.
We still see those people, Joan.
Yes.
We still see those people. And this first pitch was so bad. He threw it to the right of the catcher, and it was so far to the right that it almost hit the dugout. And it was such a weak throw, actually, that it didn't even hit the chalk of the baseline.
I'm actually really impressed with the president here.
He says, Fauci told everyone he was a great basketball player, so I assumed he would be easily able to throw a ball to home plate. It turned out that he was a phony on that, just like he was a phony on everything else. He says he was a terrible athlete, and this is by far the worst throw I have ever seen in years of watching first pitches. President Donald J. Trump, and he's clearly right.
He could have. There's actually some really great videos of Donald Trump throwing out the first pitches at a lot of games over the years, going back to his TV days and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And he did the humble thing, and he didn't stitch it together for the purpose of the post. He just let it stand by itself.
I've never seen Donald Trump throw out a first pitch. I know he was an athlete, though, wasn't he?
I believe so.
I think he played some sports. Didn't he play some sports? I think he did. Anyway, whatever. So suffice to say, Anthony Fauci, not good at throwing a baseball and not good at his job. One of the things that, and I've got some video here as well, if I could get that. President Trump was talking about Fauci yesterday. He was on Fox and Friends talking about his thoughts on Anthony Fauci. And basically, one of the questions they asked the president is, would you have fired Dr. Fauci if he knew how much of a crook Fauci was? Listen.
Personally as a person, but I didn't agree with what he was saying or what he was doing. And when Biden came in, he inherited him, and he gave him a tremendously high position. And then he gave him a pardon.
He did indeed. And, I think we all thought there was a lot of science behind what he was saying, and maybe not so much. But, Mr. President, if you would have known then what you know now, would you have fired him?
Well, I would have fired him, but again, I didn't listen to him. So when he was with Biden, he was like the God. When he was with me, he wasn't even close, and I wasn't very close to him. I dealt with him very little. I didn't agree with many of the things he said. No, he wanted to close up everything. Look at all the states that remained open.
Yep.
Those states remained open. He wanted everything closed. And it just turned out that closing wasn't so good because, it's very interesting. Some of the states that fared the worst in terms of the spread were actually closed. Okay, explain that. Nobody can explain that.
He did more damage than anybody else.
That's the way it is. They did a lot of damage in a lot of different ways.
Yep, that is President Trump talking to Fox and Friends. One of the things, because, Trump at the time, he was caught in this weird space because he's having to listen to Fauci, and Trump's not a scientist. He's a real estate developer, does construction, that kind of thing. So President Trump did advocate for temporary guidelines to stay home, but after a few weeks, he began saying things like, the cure cannot be worse than the problem itself. And he was absolutely right. Then you started seeing states like Florida, although I want to say that Georgia was first in reopening back up. I think Georgia was first. Florida, I think, was second. But the bottom line is that Trump basically said, you know what? We're going to leave it up to the governors, and that is exactly what they did. It is 7:45. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Dixon, 40 eastbound before Centerville, Dixon. We've got an overturned pickup blocking the through lanes. Traffic is getting by on the right shoulder. At the eastern split, 24 westbound before 40, there's reports of an accident. At Whites Creek, Briley Parkway. I'm Christy O'Brien.
7:46 on Nashville's Morning News. Sunny skies this afternoon, a high of 90 degrees, going to feel like 94. Thank you for listening to Super Talk 99.7 at WTN, where it is now 7:46. So one of the big questions about today, and we talked about this yesterday as well, is the auto pen and the auto pen pardon from Joe Biden for Dr. Anthony Fauci. Now, one of the questions is, if he perjures today in front of Rand Paul in the Senate, then can he go to prison? Because they've got the diaries and they've got all of these questions for him. Where, for example, they're going to ask him, no doubt, about the mask mandates, where he said we need to have mask mandates. We need to have mask mandates. Oh, look, they found an email that he was on where they basically said masking is not helping the situation. It's not preventing the COVID. Then why did we have to continue to wear the masks? I wonder if they're going to ask him about one of my biggest issues with Dr. Anthony Fauci was where you had all of these very incredibly respected scientists who were calling into question the lockdowns and basically backing up what Donald Trump said, which was the cure cannot be worse than the problem itself, talking about the lockdowns. And, if you've heard me talk about the Great Barrington Declaration before, there was a whole bunch of scientists really, really respected, and they started calling out the lockdowns and really, frankly, going against everything that Fauci was trying to sell. And Dr. Anthony Fauci systematically destroyed each and every one of those scientists' reputations. And that was basically what Fauci would do, is if you had legitimate criticisms and concerns, he would shut you down. And everybody was afraid in the scientific community. Everybody was afraid of Dr. Anthony Fauci. Now, the question is, if he lies today, if he perjures himself, if they compare, for example, again, if they compare what is in the diaries and what's in the emails to what he said to Congress before, and then they ask him about that, and they'll say, well, when were you lying? Why is there such inconsistencies? Can he be hit for perjury? So legal expert John Yoo, or Woo, Y-O-O, is that Woo? Y-O-O? I think that's you. Whatever. Anyway, he was on Fox News. I've interviewed the guy, and for whatever reason, I always shank his name. But anyway, he was on Fox News, and he says that, yes, Dr. Fauci can be criminally prosecuted if he commits perjury in front of Rand Paul. Listen.
Expressed by well-known virologists, go down and down, down. He's either lying then, or is he lying to his diary? Who is it? And tell us now. And you're right, Brian. He can't claim that the pardon would cover any of his answers now. You can only be pardoned for lying to Congress from before the pardon. If he commits a lie before Congress now, he'll be committing a federal crime and could be prosecuted.
I mean, he's saying, I didn't shut anybody down. I never shut any schools down. And then we find out in his diary, spoke with Bill de Blasio, mayor of New York City, convinced him, based on what I was saying publicly in my conversation, to shut down New York City schools. Had a similar call with Ann O'Leary and Governor Gavin Newsom of California. Between our conversations and our TV appearances, he shut down the schools. So what are you saying? You had nothing to do with the shutdowns that in retrospect were totally unnecessary and kids were never in danger?
Look, he's obviously running from this. This is one of the greatest public policy disasters in the history of the American Republic, where experts like him overreacted to the virus, shut down the economy at costs of hundreds of billions of dollars, interfered with the everyday lives of every single American, and infringed on all of our individual freedoms. And so now, of course, he's trying to pretend he had nothing to do with it. But as you say, in the diary, he records pretty meticulously all these governors, mayors, Mayor de Blasio in New York, Governor Newsom in California, urging them to shut down bars, restaurants, schools, and now he's pretending he didn't do that. So if you're a senator, you would say, were you telling the truth in public when you said you had nothing to do with it? Did you lie your diary? What was actually true in your mind? Tell us the truth now. And if you lie, you're committing perjury and could go to jail for it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. John Yoo, again, on Fox News. A lot of people saying, James Comer, another one, House Oversight, saying that if Fauci commits perjury, he's going down and he'll go to jail. Now, Joan, I always say these things, and I know that you agree, that oftentimes these kinds of hearings, they're a dog and pony show. You get, these folks that are up there and they get their pound of flesh, they get their 5 minutes to monologue, and then everybody goes along their merry way. And ultimately, nothing happens. So I want to do, Sam, if I could, let's do a Daily Dan poll. Do you believe, did I do this yesterday? Do you believe that Anthony Fauci will go to jail? Did I do this yesterday?
I think we may have, actually.
I don't remember. Well, let's do it again.
Let's do it again.
Joan, they say the mind is the first to go.
I've heard that.
For whatever reason, that keeps coming up today. I don't know why. Maybe because my mind is going. Anyway, 7:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, watch us on YouTube, if you would please. Watch us on YouTube, Facebook, 997WTN.com. You can listen to us anywhere. You can download the podcast after the show. You can watch us on YouTube after the show if you want. My 5 o'clock hour Joan, I believe, is always my best hour. It is sadly the least listened to because people are still sleeping. So what you can do is you can go back at your own leisure and go listen to the 5 o'clock hour. So lots of ways to catch Nashville's morning news during the day, during the actual broadcast. And we would really appreciate if you, what is it Chris Hand says? Smash the like button is, I think, what the...
You said that with such confidence.
I did.
It was
I think
really
that's
great.
Hey, you know what? Smash that like button, if you would. It sounds a
little bit more pep. Need a little bit more.
Hey, smash the like button. You know what? Can I just say
some
it this way?
pepper on it.
Can you just say it? Can I just say it this way? I'd really appreciate if you liked it, because I personally, Joan, I need the reinforcement of the likes. That's what I need. Oh. For people that missed it, the old man here left his mic on when he was going to the bathroom, and that's what we all heard. Anyway, 7:53, Joan's got the news at 8. Joan.
Yeah, the opening remarks are underway right now in that Senate hearing for Dr. Fauci. I've got some of it for you coming up here in the news at 8 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$7:53 on Super Talk 99.7. Now listen, why should you go to Brentwood Jewelry for all your jewelry needs? Well, it's simple. They are the best in Middle Tennessee. Brentwood Jewelry. It's where I buy all my jewelry these days. Now, they've got incredible selections of watches for both men and women for any budget. Great selections of Rolexes, both new and used. Also, by the way, if your thing is pocket knives, they've got those too. The William Henry collection, they are gorgeous. Now, if you're getting engaged, they've got everything from wedding bands to semi-mount engagement rings and a whole lot more. Brentwood Jewelry. Guys, if you're looking for something special for that special lady in your life, they feature bracelets and earrings, necklaces, and a whole lot more. And again, all at great prices, terrific selection as well, and outstanding customer service. They love America at Brentwood Jewelry, just like you do. You walk in, flags are all over the place, WTN possibly playing on the radio. Find them in person, 7012 Church Street East, located in the heart of Brentwood, just off Franklin Road. Be sure and tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. Exceptional styles, exceptional deals every day for over 50 years. BrentwoodJewelry.com. 7:58. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. As the Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986. Joan is monitoring the Anthony Fauci testimony, and I think 4 words are basically going to be repeated over and over again. I plead the fifth. Is that what's happening,
Yeah,
Joan?
it is. Yep. He said just moments ago, he said, hey, I respect the Senate, blah, 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 but I'm going to plead the fifth. So every question right now that he's being asked, he just repeats the same phrase. He reads it from a piece of paper and says he's
So that makes him look guilty as heck.
Oh, yeah.
Does that not make him look so guilty?
Yeah.
And can I just ask this question, though? Is it fair to say that Anthony Fauci pleading the fifth, does that make him look guilty? Now, because let's face it, there's probably perjury traps in there from Rand Paul and others. So I understand why he would plead the fifth, because people are gunning for him, but it's just a bad look.
Well, he just got him real good. He asked him if there was a folder in front of him, and Anthony Fauci said, on the evasive counsel, I'm going to plead the fifth. And Rand Paul goes, okay, let it be noted that I asked Dr. Fauci if there was a folder in front of him, and he decided to plead the fifth. And the whole room just started laughing.
Did they really?
Mm-hmm.
Did Fauci laugh?
No.
So you were now, and I'm going to try to find the video, but I don't know if you noticed, Joan, but I don't have a TV in the studio at the moment, so I was not able to see this. But apparently, he was reading the copy, his statement, and he was like trembling.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that, Joan?
Yes, I did see that.
Okay. Why would he be so nervous if all he's going to do is plead the fifth? Like, there's no reason to be nervous, dude. You're pleading the fifth.
Because the media won't be so hot on him anymore, Dan.
People will feel sorry for him. That's what it is. I don't feel sorry for Anthony Fauci at all. So we'll continue to monitor the situation. Appreciate you listening. 8 o'clock, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee's hearings into Dr. Anthony Fauci's handling of the COVID pandemic is underway. Opening remarks here from Senator Rand Paul.
You could not hide that your agency had funded the Wuhan research or your long history of defending gain-of-function research. The only alternative left was to argue that COVID-19 did not originate in the Wuhan lab. You were not a detached observer. You had an institutional interest in the public believing that federally funded research had nothing to do with the pandemic. It was a conflict of interest from the very beginning.
Now, Fauci has just announced that he'll take the fifth, like we said, and he will not be answering any of the senators' questions. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer is warning that Fauci's presidential pardon has its limits. Florida has executed 2 convicted murderers yesterday after the Supreme Court rejected their final appeals. This was the first time since 1964 the state has performed a double execution. Former police officer James Duckett was convicted of raping and murdering an 11-year-old girl in 1987. And Dominic Occhione was convicted of murdering his ex-girlfriend's parents in 1986. They were both put to death by lethal injection. Closer to home, a wrong-way driver is facing DUI and other charges for a crash on I-40 Saturday night. He's now being held on an ICE detainer.
News Channel 5 says investigators say 38-year-old Timoteo Trujillo Diaz was driving the wrong direction near Stewart's Ferry Pike when his Honda CR-V hit a Buick head-on. 7 people were hurt, including a state trooper and 2 children, ages 2 and 7. Trujillo Diaz is charged with DUI, vehicular assault, and reckless endangerment as the investigation continues. Part of that interstate had to be closed for 6 hours for the investigation. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
For only the second time ever, the American Red Cross has declared a national blood crisis.
The situation has become acute. Blood donations have now fallen to a 4-year summer low while hospital demand has increased. On Tuesday, the Red Cross reported less than 1 day of supply left for type O blood. The organization cited many factors for low donations, including illness and air quality. Only 3% of people in the U.S. donate blood for the rest of the country, so a few more people rolling up their sleeves could make a big difference. The Red Cross is urging all who are eligible in every blood type to make a donation. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Market numbers now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Stock futures this morning, not too good. The Dow futures at the moment, minus 355. The NASDAQ futures down just a fraction. Same for the S&P futures. They are down a fraction as well. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 804 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Window Nation. Listen, if you need new windows, you've got to check out my friends at Window Nation. If you're thinking of replacing your AC, check out your windows first. It's my official recommendation. Drafty windows force your AC to work overtime. New windows from Window Nation help keep your home comfortable and reduces the strain on your HVAC. Now, the pros at Window Nation, they can help you get new energy-efficient windows at a great price. You could get 50% off all window styles, and you could get zero down payment and no payments or interest for 2 years. Window Nation is my window company. I've got 4 Window Nation windows in my home. They've got an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, and yours truly. They've got a 96% customer satisfaction rating and over 45,000 5-star reviews. I've heard from a whole bunch of folks, WTN listeners, who've gotten their windows from Window Nation and nothing but thumbs up. So check them out right now, windownation.com. 50% right now, 50% off all window styles. You could also get zero down payment and no payments or interest for 2 years. windownation.com. Window Nation is a proud partner of the Wounded Warrior Project, windownation.com.
You've got a crash this morning that just now has been cleared on 40 eastbound at the Centerville-Dixon exit number 163. That's good news. At the airport, a crash Briley Parkway at Kermit Drive. 12 South, there's a crash at 12th Avenue South and Wedgwood, and then one in Fort Negley at 4th Avenue South at I-40. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Grawr.
.807 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. Hope you are doing well. And welcome on in to fourth and final hour of Nashville's Morning News for Wednesday. It is July 29th. So, Joan, I don't have a TV in here, so can you tell me what exactly is happening in the Fauci testimony? Is he still pleading the fifth? I've got, by the way, some audio that I'm going to play from Rand Paul, but Are they still, pleading the fifth, or what are they doing?
That's literally all they're doing. Listen to this.
And my decades-long record of cooperating with Congress under the advice of my attorneys I will invoke my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution to refrain from answering your questions. Thank you.
And that was it. Every question that they ask him at this point, he just repeats the same thing.
Is anybody saying you're welcome? Like when he says, I don't think anybody. I don't think Rand Paul is going to say you're welcome. This is what Rand Paul. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, there was one kind of a funny moment. Rand Paul asked him, do you have a folder in front of you?
Committee, why you chose to fund this dangerous research in China.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer.
Okay, so it goes on
based upon my
here.
rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
All right.
In the red folder on your table is a copy of Section 192 of Title II of the U.S. Code. Your counsel has been provided a copy as well. That section makes it a crime for a witness appearing under subpoena to refuse to answer any questions pertinent to the question under inquiry.
Ooh.
Do you have that in front of you?
Here we go.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
Let the record record that the witness has refused to answer whether there's a folder in front of him based on his Fifth Amendment right.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
Well, okay, so we've got some audio here, and I'm assuming there's no cursing. You might want to curse at the audio and video when you hear it, but I'm assuming that no one is actually cursing in the hallowed halls of Congress. This is Rand Paul, got video here. Rand Paul, and I believe this may be his opening statement.
Admit that the risk of this dangerous research exceeded any possible benefits. Ask forgiveness and pledge to help our government devise safeguards so a man-made epidemic never happens again. Instead of an apology, you have for years avoided responsibility. Regarding the lockdowns, you argue that you did not personally issue every lockdown order, close every school, or impose every mandate. But officials across the country invoked your authority to justify these decisions. And you presented your recommendations not as judgments open to debate, but as dictates of science itself. Your own words demonstrate that you understood the influence you exercised. On March 14th, 2020, you wrote that the task force recommendations were driven by me, yourself, Deb, and CDC. The next day, you wrote that you had convinced Mayor Bill de Blasio to close the New York City schools.
Yep.
So you were involved. That same night, Governor Gavin Newsom's chief of staff told you that the governor had decided to close California schools, bars, and restaurants after watching you on television.
Mm-hmm.
Presidents, governors, mayors, school boards, corporations, and Congress all bear responsibility for the decisions they made. The COVID lockdown, however, could never have been inflicted without you aiding and abetting the crime.
I wonder if Fauci, in the past, has he tried to evade responsibility for the lockdowns and all that? Because he seemed pretty proud of it way back when. He seemed incredibly proud of that, and he wrote it in the diaries. Oh, do you know what I wonder? Is anybody, hey, Joan, is anybody asking, and I know you're trying to monitor two things at once.
Yeah.
Is anybody asking Fauci about like the really girly stuff in his diaries? Or are they keeping it focused on the COVID stuff as opposed to, you know, why were you fangirling over Barbra Streisand? Is anybody asking him anything about that?
So far, nothing that I can tell. Like, I keep going back. There's online audio available and the television, so I'm watching both. But I'm not hearing anything like really personal like that yet. It's still very Rand Paul using very scientific terms about what they were doing at the Wuhan lab, and you know, if they did this and they did this, then it could potentially create this. And did that happen? And of course, you know, Fauci just takes the fifth.
And I think probably the personal humiliation of nerding out about or fangirling out about being able to talk to Barbra Streisand and some of the other things that he that he said. I think you know, the personal humiliation is enough. But here's one of the questions that I would ask: is
somebody in the gallery right now is trying to make a scene.
I think it's his attorney.
But pot it up. You guys have TV? I don't.
It's his attorney.
We'll hold off. But but you will respect these proceedings. You were told not to sit at the table. You insist on sitting at the table, and we told you would not be recognized. You are not invited here for testimony, sir. You are being disruptive. Would you behave this way in a courtroom? No, because the judge would put you in jail. I can't do that today, but I can have you escorted from the premises. So I would say, sir, sit quietly and don't say another word. I said, sit quietly. You are not recognized. Another word and you're gone.
Kick him out.
Kick him out. Come on.
Come on. Go ahead. Make
Mr.
our
Chairman,
day.
I'd like to hear what the attorney has to say.
The Democrat,
He is not
obviously.
recognized by the committee or the chair. If he speaks again, he will be removed from the room. This testimony is from Anthony Fauci. This is not a game with his lawyers. He can advise. His lawyers can give him advice. He's got a half dozen here. They're all allowed to talk to him.
Yes.
All right? Yeah. But the attorneys are not recognized. In fact, the attorney was told not to sit at the table, and he's not obeying that recommendation. There's a row behind you, sir. That's where you were told to sit, and you're not. And now you're disrupting the proceedings. And so, look, this is the way Anthony Fauci wants to be remembered. For a lawyer not listening to the rules. That's the way you want to be remembered, and that's what you're going to do. You are not recognized, sir. Security, please remove him from the
He
room.
just said, would you allow, good. He just said, would you allow me to make a short statement? That's what's getting him kicked out.
People are applauding.
Yes. And now he's being escorted out by the officers of the court.
Don't let the door hit your arse on the way out. All right. Well, good.
Yeah.
I don't think Anthony Fauci will actually be remembered for his lawyer not listening. I think he'll be remembered for a lot more. One of the things that I was going to say before his lawyer rudely interrupted not only the proceedings there, but also yours truly. I think one of the things that is a legit question is you were enjoying the adulation of Hollywood and the media and all of the media attention and the hits and, you know, being interviewed. And remember the Fauci 5 where he was one Sunday, he was on every single weekend show on the networks and so forth. He was so enamored with himself and all of the publicity that he was getting and the attention that he was getting. And is it possible, perhaps, that some of the recommendations and the decisions that he was making were designed to get him more media attention? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he did, because he was intentionally doing everything that he could to get on TV, to try to score another Fauci 5, a Sunday where he could be on all of the big Sunday talk shows, because people like Anthony Fauci, that's what they get excited about. There is one more, and I want to play this real quick. This is Rand Paul, and it's only 28 seconds long, and he's talking about Anthony Fauci pleading the Fifth.
A pardon may protect a person from criminal prosecution, doesn't rewrite history. It does not erase documents. It does not convert a misleading statement into a truthful one. And it does not prevent Congress from establishing what happened. It is secrecy that destroys trust. It is arrogance that destroys trust. It is censorship that destroys trust. And it is the refusal to admit error that destroys trust. That loss of trust may be your most damaging legacy.
There you go. And Rand Paul is right. There are Democrats, by the way, in this as well, Joan and Sam, and Gary Peters. I don't know where he's from. Michigan. So Gary Peters out of Michigan, he's a senator, I assume?
Yep.
Okay, so he is apparently trying to blame somehow Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I don't understand how he would, and I don't know if Joan has that audio, but why is he trying to, well, he's a Democrat, so that's what he's going to do. He's going to try to blame Donald Trump.
Well, he's trying to obfuscate. So
yeah.
Earlier at opening statements, he wanted to blame Donald Trump for the lack of preparedness and the lack of preventative measures when it came to the COVID-19 pandemic. And now in this closing statements, he's talking about how we've had measles outbreaks in the country and 1,000 people have died from Ebola in Africa. And it's like, none of that has anything to do with what the committee is meeting about today. And in fact, I think I figured out exactly what Rand Paul was trying to do, knowing that Fauci would plead the fifth to some of these things. Because as you pointed out in that clip, or that clip or another one, it does make it a crime to not answer questions before a congressional committee. Then what they can do under 18 USC 6005, you can request a federal court order to grant a witness use immunity. So basically, you would be trading the information of what you could charge him criminally with based on perjury or whatever to be able to charge him with contempt of, technically it would be contempt of Congress.
Yeah.
But it would be a criminal contempt order.
All right.
That would still result in some kind of, criminal charge and maybe even some jail time. But it's kind of
Steve has a really good question. Do they even need to answer questions? Does Fauci even need to answer questions, or do they even need to ask questions if his diary proves that he perjured himself? Well, like, in other words, if he did, compare dates and times and scenarios.
So the problem becomes any perjury that would have been committed would be from previous testimony that falls in that window of the Biden auto pen pardon. So even if the diary would technically prove perjury, they couldn't charge him with it because it falls under that window of immunity of when he gave that testimony. Unfortunately, which is part of the purpose of today, was to see if he would answer questions and perjure himself today, July 29th of 2026. That does not fall under that pardon window because that expired January 25th of 2025.
Yep.
So it's we might get something out of it with this criminal contempt order because your Fifth Amendment right specifically is to protect you from self-incrimination. And the idea around it is when you either speak to the cops or when you testify on your own behalf in a criminal proceeding at trial. Those are the two times that you're really supposed to bring it up.
What are people saying as far as the super text line, not the super text line, but the YouTube chat? And I think the question was, do you think that Anthony Fauci will actually serve any jail time, perjure himself, whatever? How did we word it, and what are people saying?
Do you believe Fauci will go to prison for, I should have put any length of time, but people are saying no, 91% no. They're not gonna get him on anything. I think this is very interesting way that Rand Paul approached it. There's very strict requirements for it to be a valid Fifth Amendment claim in the first place, which means if you're claiming the Fifth, that there's a real risk of criminal prosecution behind those answers.
Right.
And those answers must pose a genuine, substantial hazard of criminal liability, not an imaginary or trivial risk. So it's more social perception to people who actually understand how that works, that he didn't answer any questions, even if there was a folder in front of him.
Right. This is part of Anthony Fauci's opening comments. Got video here.
Over 200 times over those 38 years. During and after the COVID pandemic, I have appeared multiple times for hearings in the Senate and the House, usually under oath, and sat for several days-long transcribed sworn interviews, answering questions about the very issues that are now the subject of this hearing.
You know, it's odd. So if you're watching on Super Talk TV, Laura Ingraham is sitting right behind him, just shooting darts at the back of his head.
Yes.
You notice that, Joan?
Yeah.
And, she's got a front row seat, as she should.
However, given Senator Paul's obvious obsession with calling for my prosecution, his repeated slanderous comments about me, and recently his publicly releasing my unredacted personal diary aimed at embarrassing and intimidating me, the only conclusion I can reach is that the sole reason he is calling me before this committee is to get me to say something, anything, that could vindicate his repeated public pledges that I end up, in his words, quote, behind bars, unquote. Any reasonable person who has followed his unhinged obsession with me would readily come to the same conclusion. Therefore, although it pains me to do so, because...
All right, so there you go. So basically, the bottom line is here's what's going to happen. The Democrats are going to defend him, blame Donald Trump. The Republicans are going to lay into him. Rand Paul is going to go after him big time. Everybody's going to get their 5 minutes of, yelling at Dr. Anthony Fauci. He will then turn around and plead the fifth on every single question. Basically, I think that I've got that down. Is that what's going to happen,
That's
Sam?
exactly what's going to happen.
Pretty
There's
much.
going to be nothing. So these will be essentially statements from all of the senators. Gary Peters, you just talked about, went on a rant about, this committee used to be nonpartisan. We used to solve problems. Now we're doing this. There's already been enough. I think he said there have been 22 committee meetings about the COVID crisis, and we don't need any more. Why should we continue exploring what happened? He also said, Gary Peters also said, this is going to create a situation where future scientific leaders are not going to want to take any positions within the government because Dr. Fauci has gotten death threats. Well, P.S., our president has been shot at.
Right.
I think Fauci is living, breathing, walking, and doing okay. It's just insane, like where these people go. And that right now, Ron Johnson is speaking. He's the Republican from Wisconsin.
Yep.
And he said something to the effect of, I understand why you're pleading the fifth. I understand why you want to make sure that you don't say anything that's incriminating.
He's got a chart behind him while he's questioning him of all of the different medications and the adverse reactions that people experienced during a 68-month window, and then the deaths that came from that. And at the very bottom, in big, bold, red numbers, are the COVID vaccines.
Yeah.
And now he's running through all of the diseases people got from them and the lifetime afflictions of Bell's palsy that hasn't gone away, stuff like that.
Yeah. The heart ailments. I mean,
the heart ailments for males. Oh, my goodness.
The young males died suddenly. Remember that whole thing? I think it's still going on.
There were, from my recollection, there were literal soccer players in their 20s around the world. Just in the middle of a match, their heart was given out.
8403, how did they get his diary? So basically what happened is you have... what was her name? The former DNI, Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard.
So Tulsi Gabbard, he put it on government servers. I guess he must have typed it out, and he had his little diary on his computer, and they found it. And so Tulsi Gabbard either released it to Rand Paul or somehow it got into the hands of Rand Paul, and he released it. And
Looks
good
like
on
he's
Rand.
about to cry.
Fauci?
Yeah.
Is he talking?
No, he's sitting there listening to Senator Johnson from Wisconsin go over all of these adverse reactions and stuff, and the people that, I think he's even named a few people that are living with permanent lifetime diseases as a result of this, and he looks like he's on the verge of tears.
All right. Well, you know what? He should be. All right. It is 8:26. Got to go. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Jones got the news coming up at 8:30. Joan.
Yeah, more on all of that and a police report about what happened inside a home in Portland, Sumner County. It's coming up at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Dan Ned is here. Now, for a lot of you parents, school is back here in the next couple of weeks. I know a lot of parents say, thank the Lord, I've got time to myself now. Well, if that is you, well, that means that you've got some time to work on you again, taking walks, maybe a few workouts during the week. Why not a trip to Contours in Cool Springs? Now, they can help you get rid of those love handles that have been bugging you for years. Now, Contours specializes in red light technology. It is all the rage these days, and they have the latest equipment to help you lose that unwanted fat. Now, that means no pain, no downtime, and yes, it works as well. So go check out Contours today. A special price for listeners to my show, $99 gets you a belly buster special. That's right. That is a special price, $99 for a belly buster special for the first 10 callers right now. 615-236-9960. 615-236-9960. First 10 callers right now. You get that special price of just $99 for that belly buster special. Remember, you lose 2 inches across the middle or it is free. Find them online, contoursllc.com. That is contoursllc.com.
Good morning, 8:32. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories at the Senate hearing featuring Dr. Anthony Fauci on COVID today. He has pleaded the fifth, refusing to answer any questions from the senators. Rand Paul says that is not acceptable.
The chairman has denied your assertion of privilege and directed you to answer, but you nonetheless refuse and stand on privilege despite the existence of the pardon. The committee will have to consider after this hearing what appropriate action should be taken against you for the failure to testify after being directed to do so. It's against the law to obstruct an investigation of Congress. There will be repercussions to your refusal to testify today.
Now, Fauci has several lawyers surrounding him. One of them tried to inject a comment into the hearing. He has been removed from the Senate chambers. We'll continue tracking this hearing. And before this next story, a warning that some of the details are gruesome and may not be suitable for kids. Police in Portland, Sumner County, have released the final findings of a dog attack that took place inside of a home.
News 2 says the report shows an officer responding to the home the morning of April 20th found evidence of severe injuries before encountering the mother holding what appeared to be a decapitated baby. The victim, later identified as Evelyn Templeton. Authorities say the autopsy classified the death as accidental. The case has now been closed. No charges will be filed. Officers had to put the dog down at the scene. Ken Weaver, WTN News.
And this morning, Tennessee Titans players report for the first day of training camp. This will be the first training camp for Robert Saleh as head coach. No pads for the first 4 days. Saleh says that the intensity level will slowly build. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Stocks trading now. And the Dow Jones Industrials beginning 413 points lower. We've got the NASDAQ down 16 and the S&P 500 index losing 6. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 8:34, Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here for the Wellness Institute of Nashville and my buddy Dr. Kevin Mitchell. If you've been suffering from chronic back pain, neck pain, or knee pain, they can help you like they've helped many others across Middle Tennessee, including me. So whether it is non-surgical spinal decompression therapy or their brand new Medical Bay 1, they've always got the latest and greatest technology to help you get off the sidelines and back in the game. Now, they did it for me years ago. They can do it for you today. Now, this Medical Bay 1, right now, they've got a great deal going on. You mention my name, you get $33 off of each visit. It is the Epic Spinal Special. Now, what is Medical Bay 1? It uses red light technology and stem cell stimulation for tissue regeneration and healing. So, have an active rest of summer and feel like the person you used to be, courtesy of the Wellness Institute of Nashville, 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009, painisbad.com. Mark Spain Real Estate, Dan Mandis here. Now listen, if you are stuck in a home that you simply cannot sell, call Mark Spain. If your open houses are being ignored, call Mark Spain. And if you're tired of making costly repairs while your home goes unsold, call Mark Spain. Now listen, the real estate market is changing. I know that more than likely in your neighborhood, like in mine, there's a couple of houses that have been on the market for a long time. Mark Spain can help. So if you know somebody in that situation, let them know about Mark Spain's guaranteed offer. It does keep you in control. You're going to go out and you're going to get out of your home fast and with maximum profit. Now, Mark Spain Real Estate has over 72,000 clients. They are the number one most reviewed real estate company in America with over 13,000 five-star reviews. Mark Spain Real Estate is the company that I recommend for selling your home. Call them 855-299-SOLD, 855-299-SOLD, or go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today and start packing.
Okay, so you've got a crash in Berry Hill on Bransford Avenue at Rosedale Avenue, 40 eastbound in Hillwood, just past Charlotte Pike, a crash that's on the right shoulder. Briley Parkway out at the airport, there's a crash at Kermit Drive. And then in Franklin this morning, it's blocked for paving on West Mead Boulevard between Windsor Drive and Chickering Road. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$8:39, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris, you having a better day than Fauci?
I think so.
I mean,
actually, I plead the fifth.
You plead the fifth?
I plead the fifth.
All right, maybe
We've
you
heard
should plead
enough
the
of that
fifth.
today.
It's Plead the Fifth Wednesday on Nashville's Morning News.
I'll tell you what, time zones are hard. So I saw it was starting at 8:30. I was like, all right, cool. So it'll be like 30 minutes into my show. We'll be able to carry this thing live. And then I was like, oh, wrong way. I went the wrong way on my clock. It was 7:30 it started. Not
Yes.
9:30.
Mm-hmm. I don't think they started on time, though.
At least for me, a 1 hour time change messes me up more than like a 3 hour time change.
Does it really?
It's very confusing.
Well, are you then a fan of the whole, I don't even get the time difference thing. Like, what are they trying to, I don't pay attention to it. I don't even think I talked about it on the air. What are they trying to do with the whole time difference thing where they want to make us standard daylight savings like all the time? Is
Yeah,
that
so
what they're trying to do?
it would be this time all the time.
It would be this time all the time?
That's what I heard, right? I'm a fan of fall back.
I like fall back.
I like fall back.
I'm a dark kind of individual.
Yep.
I mean,
it's moody, you're brooding.
The brooding is a great way to look at it. Joan, I'm a brooder. Would you admit, Joan, that I'm a brooder?
I think that's appropriate, yes.
All right, thanks, Joan.
Thanks, Joan.
Thanks, Joan.
Welcome.
Joan's kind of brooding, though, too, at times. So, Joan, would you like us to stay in? Hey, June called. They'd like their topic back. Joan, would you like to stay in daylight savings time all the time?
You know what? I'm indifferent to this. Like, it doesn't. Okay, for you and me, getting up in the morning and going to work, do we really care?
No, the only people it benefits are the Amish. And I don't know if you listened to my show yesterday, but we have a firm anti-Amish stance on the Chris Hand Show moving forward.
How could you, Chris?
They're beatniks.
Beatniks?
Deadbeats.
What are you talking about?
Why? They don't pull their own weight. I really had a revelation yesterday with we had a caller, Miss Bonnie.
Okay.
Miss Bonnie called in. She had an issue with Matt Murphy, of course.
What was Bonnie's problem? Of course.
Of course.
Why would you say it like everybody loves Matt Murphy except for the Amish apparently.
I always have a bank of calls that are trying to air their grievances with Matt Murphy.
Really?
Yep. And Miss Bonnie, she was very upset that Matt had cut her off. And she knew
How dare
that the Chris Hand Show is a safe space. So we weren't going to cut her off. We were going to let her say whatever controversial take she had. And apparently Matt Murphy is a friend of the Amish or something, and he wasn't going to let that slide on his show. So the Amish are depositing $7,000 in his account every time he says something positive.
Is that what it is?
So
I get 9,000. He
wasn't going to let that slide.
Right.
The checks would dry up. So she had to call into the Chris Hand Show, and we quickly became very anti-Amish.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I like the Amish.
Not a fan.
What? Why?
Miss Bonnie sold me.
Listen, these people, they do not rely on government anything.
What do you mean, these people?
These Amish people, they're
Hey,
handy.
Joan,
they
you can
make wonderful food. Oh my goodness,
Joan, you can say whatever you want. They can't hear you.
Well, Murphy called in to defend himself. He said there's two groups of people that you can make fun of on the radio with impunity. It's the Amish and the deaf.
Oh, man.
Well, you can also make fun of white people because nobody's going to, complain about that.
True.
So there is that. Oh, did you hear what I did? You play that again. Oh. Do you know what that? Do you know what that is?
That's like you have the old man grunts when you're moving.
Yeah.
You know the dad grunts that you get? Like
No. So that I don't know what happened, but I left my mic on and got up to go to the bathroom, and that's what that's what happened.
That sounds like that one joint that knows when a storm is coming.
You know what? Did you like do something different to that?
No, dude, I didn't. I didn't normalize the audio. I didn't do anything other than clip it and rename it as the Dan groan.
Amy, is that what I sound like when I'm getting up from the chair at home
or the toilet?
Okay, nobody's there when I'm getting up off the toilet. Although that's apparently where this show and Sam's career is going to go if he keeps that up.
Matt Murphy's texting in.
Oh, yeah? What did he say?
He's got some revisionist history on why he had to cut Miss Bonnie off.
Well, have him call up.
Matt,
call us.
He said that it was because Miss Bonnie said Donald Trump is Richarding around.
Oh.
But I think that
Wait, was Bonnie Amish? She could have been Amish.
I think she was
so
saying
what does this have to do with Amish people?
Trump was Richarding around and needed to do something about the Amish problem.
But what does that have to do with Amish people?
I forgot about all the Amish gangs that are out there looting.
They are.
I don't understand what this has to do with Amish people, though. Like, why are you anti-Amish? If Bonnie said that Donald Trump is Richarding around, well, then what does that have to do with you hating Amish people?
I think it's just fun. I think it's fun.
Oh, okay. So you just like to hate on people. Okay. Do you know what I heard, though? Dude, here's a problem, though. I heard the Amish people are pro-Monty Fritz.
Oh.
So I don't know what you're going to do now.
I love the Amish.
Exactly.
I take back everything I said. I had John Rose on yesterday.
How'd that go?
He just was like, don't vote for Monty Fritz. Whatever you do.
Wait, there's Murphy Show.
To be fair, I like John.
I like John a lot.
He knew that he was coming in with some hard questions, and he came in anyway.
All right, so let's see here. Hey, Matt.
What's your issue with the Amish?
What's the problem with the Amish? I'm so confused.
Dan, you're the only one confused as to what Chris is doing to you right now. But I mean, everybody else is pretty crystal clear.
What is he doing to me?
He's trolling you, Dan.
No, I take offense to that. Dan is my friend, my mentor.
I'm sure you do.
I look up to this guy, and you think that you think I would troll him?
You would.
I hate the idea that Bonnie curses on my radio show, and it drives a wedge between the brotherhood that Chris Hand and Matt Murphy has forged these many years on this radio station in friendship.
Listen,
but I gotta tell you, Dan,
Bonnie was speaking truth to power, and Matt didn't want to let it happen.
Dan,
yes,
these Amish people are just a pawn in this wicked game that Hand is spinning before you today.
Hey, Joan, do you understand what's happening? Like, I am so confused. Like, somebody...
Do you know what a Minn Kota is?
The what?
A Minn Kota?
No.
Matt might know this.
Minn Kota?
Yeah,
No.
it's a brand of trolling motors, and you just got steamrolled, brother.
Okay.
Here's the deal, Dan. Here's the deal. Chris Hand is using these poor Amish people to warp the minds of the audience between 9 and noon. And, I'm not going to stand for it anymore. We're going to hash this out on Mostly Peaceful, which airs this Saturday morning at 7 a.m. on all of your podcast platforms.
Dude, it's like 6 a.m. We release it at 6, not 7.
Dan, I don't.
That doesn't mean
that
doesn't make it any less available at 7 a.m.
Thank you, Chris.
Do you know what? I think I am getting trolled in this segment.
You know what? No matter how deep this wound might cut me, Chris, you still have my back when it comes to Dan. Thank you.
I value truth at the end of the day above everything else. And here's the thing. Bonnie was saying the quiet part out loud when it came to the Amish, and Matt didn't want to hear it.
Yes.
Okay.
Bonnie was saying that Donald Trump was bleeping around. I dumped her, and she called Chris to get mad about the fact that I dumped her, Dan. In the context of that call, Bonnie unleashed an emotional tirade against these poor Amish people, which I've never quite liked, but I was forced to defend. So there you have it, Dan. That explains it all for you.
You don't like the Amish people?
I've always believed that the Amish people are easy targets, Dan, because they don't have radios and they don't listen to you on
That's
the radio.
what I said. Okay, very good. You know what?
No, that's what I've been saying for 25 years, Dan. You just said it today.
Okay, I've decided out of protest, because I'm being picked on by both Chris and Matt, I'm not going to show up for the podcast.
We're not picking on you, Dan. We're trying to explain how deep this Amish conspiracy goes.
You've seen Amish Mafia on TLC.
Sure.
Dan, I think it's beyond all of us, and I'm a little bit nervous that we're publicly talking about it right now, because if word gets back to those folks, if somebody clip-clops down the dusty trail and tells these Amish people in Summertown that we're talking about them on the radio, all hell to pay, my friend.
Okay, I want to make sure that people know that not only do I have the utmost respect for the Amish, I used to watch that Vanilla Ice show that he did with the Amish. That's how much of a fan I am of the Amish.
I smell fear on Dan Mandis. If you hear that clip clop coming, keep your head on a swivel.
You know what? It's funny you guys are talking about this. I'm picturing like a horror movie where you're like alone at night and you hear the clip clopping coming down the road.
Jebediah, get thine wooden mallet. We must haste to the Mandis household.
Elon said he was going to do an AI, the Odyssey, but what we really need is an AI version of that, the Amish Revenge.
I don't think you got a shot, Dan. I don't know why you're so anti-Amish, Dan.
Oh my God, I'm defending the Amish.
They're not taking.
No, that's the sound of a trolling motor.
Oh,
clearly, Dan. Clearly, the Amish people aren't taking it that way, based on the reactions that Chris and I are getting. This is bad for you.
The amount of texts we would be getting right now if they had cell phones.
There's going to be a bunch of angry carrier pigeons.
So Mike says Bonnie wants the Amish deported because they allegedly don't pay taxes.
Yep, that's what she said.
Bonnie is of the misguided opinion that they don't pay taxes because most of the Amish people, as they begin their working lives, work on their family farms, and so they're not required to pay Social Security or payroll taxes for that. So that is what Bonnie was so upset.
7830 says, you're so easy to Richard with, Dan.
Whoa.
There you go. Okay, hey, Matt, have you ever accidentally left the microphone on and done that?
Was that what, when I first heard that a few minutes ago, were you letting one go, Dan?
No,
is that what was
I was
happening there?
getting up. I went to a break. Okay. I had to go to the bathroom.
Listen to it? Can we listen to it one more time with that in mind, though? Can we just listen to it with that in mind?
Thank you for turning the volume up, Sam. So, no.
Just making sure there's not a speaker behind it.
Everyone heard it.
I accidentally left my microphone on when I was getting out of the chair to go down the hall, and I made the old man sound. Yeah. What I did. Yeah. And you ever do that, Matt? Tell me you've done that before so I don't feel like such a fool.
I probably have left my microphone on in the past, but my executive producer, young Jackson Williams, in the afternoons, he and I have the type of relationship that he's got my back and he turns it off for me.
Yeah,
I see the bus, Matt. I see it. Thank you.
I've got the kind of producer that not only does not have my back, but he actually gets the audio, isolates the audio, and then plays it incessantly on the air, and then just so people can hear it, turns it up about 4 dB. That's the kind of producer that I have.
Here's the big question. Is it better for you to just accept the fact that you're that old that you make that sound, or might it be better just to make the excuse that you breaking a little wind? And,
He did say he was headed down the hall. We know what down the hall means.
Why do we always go to the bathroom humor? By the way, I was standing, not sitting. Moving right along. By the way, we do have requests now. Could you play the Joan growl just one more to the rawr? Growl.
There it is.
There it is. It's not a complete day unless we hear the Joan war or whatever that is. Hey, Matt, you got anything exciting going on the Matt Murphy Show later today?
Well, apparently we're going to dig a little bit deeper into this huge Amish conspiracy. I have to begin the research right now to fight back against the Hand cabal. I've got to fight back I've only got 4 hours to combat what Chris Hand is going to do between 9 and noon today. So I got to get to work on it.
I agree with TB on the text line. He says, we get enough Matt Murphy from 3 to 7. Can we get a restraining order on him for the rest of the day's shows?
No, I love
Hey,
it.
look, blame the man behind the microphone that's Putin in the chair because he's the one that told me to call.
Just so we're clear, I'm not Putin in the chair.
Which should be good news to you, Matt, and to you, Chris.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
Dan's been anti-Putin for years.
That's exactly right. All right, I think we're done. Thankfully.
Goodbye.
Bye, Matt.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Matt Murphy, ladies and
At
gentlemen.
least Matt explained to me what the whole thing was, because he said you were like trolling me, but I didn't understand. I don't think that was an actual troll. I think it was just you not letting me in on the whole bit.
$7,000 from the Amish has been deposited into Matt Murphy's account.
Trevor says, sounds like constipation, Dan. Go to White Castle.
True.
No, when I want constipation, the opposite of constipation is going to
Taylor Farms.
Well, yeah, we go to Taco Bell for the anti-constipation, right? If you're constipated, nothing's coming out, right? So
we drove by the Taylor Farms in Smyrna the other day with Virginia.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
And we had all the kids in the car, and she pointed out the window, and she said, "Look, kids, it's the diarrhea factory."
Behave, or we're going to go eat some lettuce. All right, very good. All right, well, thank you, everyone. This has been an outstanding segment, as always. Said no one.
You're
ever.
welcome.
Randy agreed. He said, "Wow, this is riveting radio."
Oh.
Also, somebody said that the producers are the real stars of WTN.
You know what I love? I will tell you. I think that Jackson does a great job in the afternoon.
What? You've met Gabe too, right? My new producer.
Oh, and Gabe does a great job. Mason, of course, has been promoted to bigger and better things.
If I injure myself,
Bell's been doing it for years.
Wow, here we go. Murphy, Joan, and Ken are the only ones I can stand for more than a few minutes. I think that's funny. Don't you think that's funny, Dan?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Aha.
Joan, what's coming up? 5413? Same here. All right, go ahead. Go ahead, Joan. What's coming up?
So what about ivermectin and hydrochloroquine? That question just asked at the Senate hearing. I've got it for you coming up here at 9 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, 8:55, Dan Mandis here for USS United Structural Systems. Whether you're talking about waterproofing, concrete leveling, or foundation repair, my friends at USS, they are the absolute best here in Tennessee. They also know that these types of issues do not get better over time. They get worse without the proper fix. Everybody knows that, and so what they're going to do is help you if you don't have the cash to get these things fixed immediately. Now, they're offering you some great financing options. You can get a 10% discount when you pay in full, or fix it now, pay it later with 18 months, no payment or interest, or you can choose the 36 months, no interest with low payment option for qualified homeowners. So call them, tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out, 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855, USSTN.com.